And we're back.
Yeah,
and we're live.
We'll have Ryan, and we can cut all that
great.
beginning out. Ryan will
awesome.
start, but I want to hear that story because that's great.
I think that's when we started saying, and we're back. When Dave was in the band.
Yeah.
We would crack that. So we're here for another episode of the Ain't Done Yet podcast. And this one is a very special episode because this gentleman sitting here to our right, he listened to the first one and was like, hey, good job, guys. And we talked about our experiences with this gentleman, 60% of the conversation, 80% of that first conversation, because he was such an integral part of our band and our careers coming up in Las Vegas. So we're excited to have Mr. DM, as he likes to go by.
He does.
Mr. Dave
The
McMahan.
DM.
Mr. Dave McMahan.
Slip into him.
Yeah. Thank you
What's
for
up, Dave?
joining us, brother.
You know, it's funny. I still geek out to this day, and I like, dude, Dave McMahan said we did a good job on the podcast.
Yeah,
Dude, I'm super.
Well, I mean, because he's got history prior to you guys.
Yeah.
He goes way back further than you guys do,
Yeah,
man. Why
but-
don't you start with, where did you start out with, man? Because, I mean, I was watching you in backyards when I was a teenager.
Yeah.
Or just maybe past a teenager.
God, I feel old now. Well, first off, man, thank you for having me.
Yeah.
Super cool. Flattered,
Thanks for being
honored.
here, bro.
Just even the consideration is cool. And we have such history together that it's. I've been really looking forward to talking to you guys. But yeah, I was in a bunch of bands that didn't matter, and then I made it into one that kind of did, I guess, called Phatter Than Albert.
Yeah.
And in Las Vegas, we, just grinded and tried to be ourselves and not try to fit in a certain peg,
Was that a high school band or is it an after high school
No, it was
band?
cool because we were just all out of high school.
Okay.
I was the youngest guy in it, but I was just out, which was awesome because you still all knew your high school people, all the girls and all the guys.
Yep.
And our key was get the girls to the show, the guys will follow. And so the Boston, we were one of the first
Love the
shows.
Boston.
And before
Yeah.
they even had a stage built, Levon just had this little tiny drum riser and we played. It was funny because there was...
Remember, it was like a corner.
Yeah,
It was like a
in the corner.
and
The
our
stage
first
was in
show,
the
he
corner,
booked a
yeah.
quinceañera as well as our show.
Same night, huh?
Yeah, but I mean, we weren't anybody, really nothing. And
Right.
and like they had these curtains around the bar, so the quinceañera was in around the bar area, and we were in the outside part. These like white curtains around, and there was no stage. And the next thing we know, there's a stage, and one is running the sound and turned that place into what it was. And we really cut our teeth between there and like Money Plays and Marker Down back in the
Yeah.
day, in like 98, 97, 98, 99, during that era of
If
the
anybody
Las Vegas
knows who owned those places at that time, like message us on this YouTube podcast or something. We want to
Yeah.
meet these people and bring them in because those are a large part of a lot of people's lives that are coming through the studio here.
Yeah, they really did a lot more than they realized. Obviously, they were just trying to run a business, but for musicians like us, it meant everything to just, you had to earn your way. You had to play Marker Down, which is now, what's it called? The Tiki Bar.
Golden
Tiki. That was Marker Down.
Oh, okay.
But the same owners owned Money Plays.
Right. Well,
And
yeah.
you had to prove yourself at Marker Down to be able to play Money
Money
Plays.
Plays.
And if you think
Right.
about Money Plays, you're like, you had to earn your way there?
Yeah.
It's like, what?
But you
Money
did.
Plays?
But you
What?
did. But they paid better, right? As far
Right.
and
That was like the Cheyenne Saloon too. You had to earn your
Totally.
ticket onto that stage.
Like,
Right, and then-
when you play Friday night for $500 at Cheyenne Saloon,
Right.
We earned that, bro. You know?
yeah,
Dude, we were in.
it was. That's how it was, and kind of still is, if you think about it, right? You got to be able to show you can bring a crowd. You got to show revenue. You got to show that you're
Bar sales, man.
correct. Try not to jump in the crowd and punch people and be like not get kicked out of the whole place, but which happens. But back in that day, that 99, 2000 era. You had a lot of killer bands like Left Standing, like Home Cooking, the Watson
family, dude.
You had all these.
Slow to
Do you
surface.
remember? Do you remember
Yeah.
187?
Yeah.
Okay, so
Yeah.
I used to hang out with those guys
Okay.
all the time. Big black
Oh,
lead
yeah.
singer, fucking
Totally.
deathcore.
Yeah.
Shit.
You'd always see
I used to
187
work
and
with all
Hemlock
those
would always be
guys.
playing together. It'd always be 187 and Hemlock, and you'd be
Yeah.
like, and you saw it on the freeway. You're like, oh look, they're playing.
Yeah.
And, I saw one recently.
They
Hemlock
would
played a
do
show,
those
and they had
signs, those
signs up
spray
again. I
painted
was
signs,
like,
yeah.
dude, yes, keep it alive.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
This is
Super
classic
Amongst Men.
Vegas
Do you remember
music.
God
God
Amongst
Amongst
Men,
Men?
yeah, man. I still talk to Gary every now and
okay.
then. I talk to a lot of those guys, but those times were were really cool. The scene was so strong, man, and people were unified as like bands. Like you,
everybody knew everybody. It was a small group of just everybody floated around with everybody. I remember.
Yeah, and it was cool. It was
Dude, you
really
guys
cool.
were fatter than Albert. I was young in the 90s. All right, I wasn't even in the band yet. I hadn't even gone through puberty yet. I was just about to kiss a girl. Okay, and I get to see a Fatter Than Albert show, and it was like, holy crap, these guys are rock stars. Like this is the biggest.
Oh, dude, we had no
biggest
idea what we
band.
were doing.
Yeah, dude,
Like,
you guys were so good.
Smoke
man. It
and
was
mirrors.
Awesome.
I remember a show. My first, like when I really was like when exposed to the level of talent that you guys had. It was a show at the Palapa Lounge.
Yeah.
At the Palms.
Yeah.
And I was standing outside of remember there was like the outside bar, and I was like, I'm a fucking rock star. I'm not going in. I'm gonna stand from here and watch. And Austin came out and jumped up on the railing and looked at and I was like, oh my God, bro.
Dude, we got in trouble for that show because
these guys fucking slapped.
they didn't expect us to bring that many people, and the crowd
Went all
flowed
the
out
way
into the
out.
casino.
Yeah.
And they were upset at us. We were like, how are you mad at the
Because we brought too many people?
Yeah. It was like
well,
weird.
you know, to kind of prove that I was a big fan.
Oh shit, you got the P&A style. You got
Right?
what is that, the frustrated overtones? That is frustrated overtones, if I believe.
What is that
Yeah.
circular thing in your
Yes.
hand?
What is this? Did you know that there is data on that?
What is this?
There is data.
What is this wizardry that you hold?
Wow, you do got the OG. That is the
You know,
P&A
so
style.
yeah, that's
funny because
my
Alfonso,
crew is cruising with this stuff.
Cito,
You know?
Austin, and myself, we still have a text thread we constantly go through. It's the P&A Styley text thread. It's just
No
us three.
kidding, huh?
Oh yeah, for sure.
What does that mean?
So what
Fatter Than Albert Styley, P&A,
Yeah,
Fatter Than
P&A.
Albert
Okay,
Styley. P&A Styley, Austin had some lyrics, and in there would be a few different songs where he
P&A
would bring up
Styley.
P&A Styley.
So cool.
So, and this is where like the fanboy in me is coming out, right? Austin LeDuc, first fucking, I'm looking up to this guy, right? Amazing voice.
Awesome,
Fucking,
awesome
like,
same
stage
front
presence.
man.
One of the greatest, like, if you've seen the man live, he fucking nails it, right?
Yeah.
He's never had a bad show, at least that I've seen.
Right.
This guy at one of your shows at the Cheyenne Saloon takes the time out to take me to his car and shows me my first vocal warm up ever.
That's freaking
And,
awesome.
and I learned
That's
it from
cool as
I
fuck.
learned it from Austin.
Yeah.
You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Like
Dude,
sitting
he
in the
was-
parking
You
lot.
still did the same one you still do?
Yeah.
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 Yeah. Nice.
Me, Mama, Moo, or something like that.
Mommy made me mash my M&Ms like that. Like,
He was so. I was so. At the time, you get so frustrated at. His work ethic was super high. He was also just a frustrating human, but at the same time, once you look back on it, you're like, dude, thanks for pushing us, because he was all about. Every day we were working, and he was also, dude. My dude is a hypochondriac per se, and would only eat turkey and bread. That's it. So his stomach wasn't upset for when shows came and things
Yeah,
like that.
no.
Like he was one of those people that like
a pro.
diet regimen,
I
all that
get
stuff.
that,
Even though
man.
he it was funny. He was like, man, you should eat. You shaped like ET. You should probably eat some more protein. But I love him to death. He knows that though. But
He's like Lane Staley, though, right? Like a skinny guy, the voice, though.
Yeah,
like, could
just massive.
it was
fill
crazy
the
how
auditorium.
big his voice was for his size. But
Yeah.
he
And so distinct too.
Very
Very
distinct.
distinct
Voice.
voice. You knew it was his voice when he was singing the song.
I always whenever I heard it, I always thought of like one of those people that just it's an instrument in there. It has its own tone and its own thing, and it truly is an instrument in his throat.
Yeah.
And you singers, man, as you know, it's the most delicate of instruments, right? It's like
one day it's good, the next day it's not.
and you don't know
Like,
what
just
day
like
that's
that.
going to be,
Yeah.
right? And you don't know what elements caused whatever, and it's inside here. It's not like you can look at it and see what's going on. It's like you can look at your guitar and be like, "Oh, dude, the neck is bent," right? Whatever.
Well, and
it
it
is.
changes over time too. I mean, your voice has changed drastically over time. You know, I mean, you have a completely. It's still a noticeable sound, but it's a different sound than it was just 10 years ago.
Yeah.
You know, and I don't know if that would be a matured.
I think
sound,
it's
right?
it's
Like you've learned how to control.
you
your
learn how
voice
to
better.
use the instrument
Right.
itself.
Yeah.
So it adds to the maturity of it, right? I listen to some of those very early recordings, and I'm like, dude, I sound like a kid on that. You know what I mean? Like my balls didn't drop. What the fuck is going on? You know, like.
Well, and I remember you teaching some of the guys that used to come to the office when we had the upstairs loft and everything.
Yeah,
and you would teach the hat guys like, hey, you know, you're singing in from your chest here.
Right.
Know,
don't sing from your chest. Sing from your gut.
Diaphragm.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
Yeah. It's you guys have in my opinion, and I sang a lot in Phatter and Clockwise, and
otherwise.
And then when I got into otherwise, it was
your harmonies are killer.
But the hard part is too, you can be able to sing, but you also have to have the type of voice that has a good burn with your lead singer. Harmonies, there is a compatibility to voices. Like not everybody's just because you can sing a harmony with somebody doesn't mean it's going to sound great.
Right.
And that I think me and you had a really
guys had that really.
I had a little high register thing. Right. And there was a burn.
Dude.
When Corky joined the band, like he had the harmonies, but I was always just like, I mean, you're hitting the right note, but there's just it's not the same. You know, it wasn't the same.
The burn wasn't there.
Yeah. And I mean, I can't do it to this day, but some of the things we did, especially what Elvis made me go through of like that register. I actually had to raise my register. I had to learn how to get my pitch up higher and sing the super high stuff while playing the drums.
Playing gnarly beats.
Dude, Bloody Knuckles, Broken Glass, I almost passed out every time we played it.
And I wasn't playing drums on that song, and I almost passed out doing that shit.
Right. And it was full voice too. Like it was like the high notes, but I wasn't doing a falsetto. I was doing full voice.
Yeah. Right.
Which, you know, you start to really work on your breathing. Coming up, like, here comes that song, huh?
And then,
here we go.
but dude, JB, there's an absolute technique to that. Like, and it's weird because it's a muscle memory kind of a thing. It's one of those things like if you don't do it every day, your body starts to forget how to do it. So like when we haven't toured for a while, and then we play like some big.
Well, that's why it takes a couple shows, even a couple songs every night, right? By the third song, well, sound guys got shit dialed in. Your voice is dialed in. It's kind of like almost like stretching, right?
It is.
You're stretching.
It's stretching along with push-ups for your chords.
Yeah.
You really have to strengthen those things and use it or lose it type thing for
Yes,
sure.
so true.
Right.
Without a doubt, man.
But there's also
skill.
then there's that weird concept of rest. So you're like you got to use it, but then there's other times. Once again, you can't see what's going on in there, and you don't know if it's inflamed or not. You maybe feel it, but as a singing, I sang my whole life coming up. Even throughout school, I was a little choir kid. I was just like one of those little. I was a super nerd.
Were you always thinking that you were going to be, a musician too, or did it you just tripped into it?
When I was a freshman in high school, I was in 7th or 8th grade. My brother got a drum set, and I was like, I want to do something. So I got a bass. So I started playing bass while my brother was learning every Megadeth song there was. And then we jam, and then I got on his drums, and I learned In Bloom by Nirvana was the first song I ever learned.
Nice.
And he showed me. You
taught me that too.
The first song I ever learned, I was like, everyone should learn this. You learn flam, you learn offset, and it like
flam.
Right, but I was like, I did that, and I was just like, this is way more fun than bass. So then I joined a band called Seedless. My best friend was their drummer, and it was his cousin. And then I jammed with them, and they were like, "You want to play drums with me?" I was like, "Bro, but your cousin is your drummer." They're like, "No, he's fine. Don't worry." So I'm in a band playing drums and a band playing bass. And from like high school on, I spent more time. As soon as I was out of school, I just wanted to go to rehearsal. It wasn't like one of those like I'm gonna be a rock star. It was just like this is fun, dude.
Yeah.
Right, like I like doing this. I'm gonna keep doing it.
It feels
Totally,
good,
man. It
fucking feels good.
It felt good, and the camaraderie of being in a band and the things that come around. And next thing you know, and then like there's girls around, and there's parties that you get invited to.
That doesn't hurt.
Never hurts.
Never
Feels good actually, but like the social side of it became as much fun and as important as the playing. And then when you start to write music with people, it just becomes so cool when an idea turns into a concept, turns into a song. And it's like,
and then it's a message. Then at that
point. I was the drummer, right? So it's not like I was creating the message, but I always had a good rapport always with whatever singer and anybody else.
You're a good songwriter.
That's how was that working with Phatter and Albert? Was Austin writing the lyrics and then you guys are building music around it, or was it the opposite?
Austin, well, we would write the music most of the time. Austin would also come with ideas. He'd have an acoustic, and he would have some chord stuff going on, and then we'd embellish upon that. So there might be a verse that he had or something, and then we're going to write a chorus to it, or vice versa, you know. And
Sure.
you just build off. All it really takes is one spark, right? When you're writing music, it's one spark.
And you build around that whole thing.
Right. And isn't it weird too how sometimes the song that took 10 minutes to write is the best song you've written, and the one you spend months on is like,
Just having that combo, yeah.
it's so weird, right? So some of the, and I would say Shapes of Metal was kind of that for us.
Yeah, it
and
was
like
quick.
when I joined, which we'll talk about in a bit
Yeah.
too, of like how it takes just one spark to motivate you for more, right?
Yeah.
And I think music has that kind of quality for a lot of things. And it was like, you know, the spark of, dude, this is really fun playing, and then hanging out with everybody and doing things. And next thing you know, it's like it turns into a social life.
Well, you know, you were mentioning too, and this is just a common theme of all the guests that we've had in here thus far, is the hard work.
Yeah.
It's hard work to get it done. It's rewarding, but ain't shit gonna happen without the hard work being put in.
Yeah.
You know?
It is so much hard work, but I can tell you that if you're willing to do it, you're going to get something from it. Because whether how do I put it? Whether you made something amazing or not, people will gravitate towards it because they can tell that there's genuine hard work put into that, and love put into that.
It's authentic. Yeah.
It's authentic, man, and that's a hard thing to find. You can always tell when a band is any artist, right, is
just throwing shit together, right?
Right.
I throw this shit together.
Or is thrown together
all
for
the
them.
B-side tracks, you
Or
can
thrown
tell.
yeah.
thrown together for them, and they're just doing a song somebody else wrote, right? Compared to like even just go to like a country level, like a Stapleton. You can tell Chris Stapleton's writing his stuff and playing. It's coming from his heart, and then his wife's singing with him too, which makes it just even more kind of a thing. And like all levels of music, you can feel that, I think.
Oh yeah,
personally.
oh yeah. I mean, you can definitely see it.
So take us through, Dave. Take us through before we get into your otherwise timeline history. Take us through a little bit the Phatter Than Albert evolution from Phatter Than Albert to Clockwise, and the experience you guys had with RCA Records.
I was pissed they changed the name, by the way. That was the first thing I was pissed when I heard about it on the radio.
They didn't. It was us.
It was your choice. Okay,
Yeah,
I'll let you tell the story.
you.
I'm sorry,
walk us
I'm
through that,
interrupting.
No, because
shit.
that's a common perception for sure. You would think that the overlord made you do.
I'm like, what the
label
fuck are
who
they
gets to
doing with
say
that shit? Phatter Than
The
Albert is
overseer,
like the
bro.
dopest
I'll tell you
fucking
what.
name.
We talked about maturity in the voice, right? Sometimes
Yeah.
the maturity comes in the music too.
Okay,
And
yeah.
so what happened was, obviously, Phatter Than Albert had its little trajectory that kind of came up, got us noticed.
Tell us about how you guys first scored, because I heard when I was like, dude, they signed a record deal, man.
Yeah.
Like,
Right?
What the
Before anybody was panicking at any discos or
or
escaping any
imagining
fate
any
or imagining any
dragons.
dragons.
Right?
Or any
That were you guys
Patrick
were
Brothers
first, yeah.
rock
Albert
around.
was
Other than
Fatter.
Slaughter.
You
Yeah,
guys
I
were
mean,
the band,
Slaughter, bro.
dude.
Yeah.
And then you guys got the deal. How did you guys get
Yeah,
the
so
deal?
let's take us how you
So
procured that.
we were, grinding our teeth in the scene and playing shows, and we started getting big crowds at our shows. A lot of that came from, once again, we kind of really started coming up when we were still in high school. So you get all those high school friends that are still coming to shows, and they get bigger and bigger and bigger, and it multiplies. As long as you keep working hard, you keep grinding, and you play consistently.
and the shows don't suck.
Yeah, well, that helps. But we, around 2000, started trying to take it seriously and hunt for a deal. And so Robbie Klostrich was our manager at the time. We were playing the Edom Festival. I don't know if you remember Emerging Artists and Talent
Yes.
in Music, Edom Festivals. And we met a guy named George Stein at it. He was a business manager, he was a lawyer, and he was Jeff Buckley's manager at the time.
Right.
I'm sorry. Jeff had passed, and he was just after Jeff's passing, and he was his manager the whole time. And I was a huge Jeff Buckley fan.
Yeah, dude.
Huge Jeff Buckley fan. And then
Because this guy was an older gentleman.
he
if I
was.
remember, right?
George was an older dude, but just so cool. Lived in New York, and Robbie met up with him, got our stuff in his hands, and he was like, "All right, cool." And so he started working with us. He had the connections throughout the industry. We started getting courted. We went to Epic. They got flown out to New York, and this is a funny story.
Did the whole thing like in the office, like an
So we went to the
acoustic thing?
president's office, and she pulls us in, and they take us to the hotel. They put us in a hotel. They keep a SUV outside because they knew other labels were looking at us.
Yeah.
But Epic flew us out, and they were like, "You guys aren't going to go see anybody while you're here." Right?
Right?
And we were
paid
like,
for this
"No,
trip,
no,
buddy."
no." So they would keep an SUV out front of the hotel in case we wanted to go anywhere.
Okay.
But we know why it's there.
Right.
And so we were like, "Hey, we're staying in for the night."
Next label.
That leaves, well, no, yes and no, because we had already kind of been talking to RCA.
Okay.
And we did go meet with them that night. We had dinner with them and whatnot. And then we came back.
Sorry, Dave, what year? 2000
This is 2000.
2000.
Yeah, this is the year 2000. And 2000 or 2001, like right in that end of time, whatever.
Gotcha.
It was
prior to or
being
before 9/11 or after?
before.
9/11? Okay.
This is before. So it was either end of 2000 or beginning of 2001.
Okay.
And then we're up in the office of Polly was her name. I don't remember her last name. She was the president of Epic at the time. And we're sitting in her office and they're trying to impress us. So they have Tom Morello come walking in. Now, here's another interesting one.
Nice.
It was the day after the MTV Music Awards that were at Radio City Music Hall, which they also took us to dinner, and they had Jack Black, and nobody knew who Tenacious D was, and they had Jack Black and Kyle Gass come in to be like, "Hey guys, what's going on?" We were like, and I'm like, "Tenacious D," and everybody in my band is like,
"Who's Tenacious D?"
Fuck is that? And so the Radio City Music Hall is right around the corner from this place. So all these people are coming out. U2 comes walking in the restaurant that we're at, and I actually hit Larry Mullins with the door of the bathroom on accident. Like, oh shit! Oh, did I just hit the dude from U2? So then, fast forward to we're in Polly's office, and they have Tom Morello come in. Well, the reason that Tom's there is because they were trying to get the bass player out of jail because it was the day that he was
up on the
thing, and because he was pissed
for that?
at Limp Bizkit.
Yeah,
because
they
he
arrested
punched a cop. So he was there to be like,
wow.
what do we
So
got to do
Tim
to
got
get
arrested
Tim
that
out of
for
jail?
shit.
But he was like, Tom Morello comes walking in. He's like, what's the name of this fine outfit? The guy, it's Tom Morello.
These fine young camels.
And we were like, Fatter Than Albert. And he's like, that's a funny name. And we were like, and that was one of my first like, it is a funny name, isn't it? And then they walk us in, and Ozzy Osbourne's in another office, and they're like, "Here's Ozzy," and we were like, "We see what you're doing, dude."
Yeah,
We're from Las Vegas, man. We don't get stoked on celebrity type thing.
Yeah,
like
the
it's just,
celebrities,
Yeah, it's
like
all
whatever
over the
they-
place
yeah.
out here.
Right. So fast forward to Bob Jameson was the president of RCA at the time. George Stein, our business manager, had a relationship with him, and we did kind of the same thing we did. We did a 2:00 in the afternoon Boston show for Bob Jameson to come in town. He was in town because it was the Magic Convention, and Vertical Horizon and Foo Fighters. Doc Martens paid for Foo Fighters and Vertical Horizon to play by the pool at the Hard Rock at the rehab pool, right? And it was a private show just for Doc Martens people.
Yep.
So he's in town because it's two RCA artists, and he's comes to Vegas to see him. Well, George worked it to where in the middle of the afternoon a limo pulls up. This is actually a story I haven't told very much. We're in the back, and we hear, dude, there's a limo out front. And we're like, oh shit, we're all nervous, right? Fucking, we know it's the president of RCA, and we're all in the back. He comes into the back of the Boston, and he looks at us, and he's like, hey boys, how you doing? What's going on? He's super cool, man, super cool. And he's like, oh, what's your name? Da-da-da. And I've got a Crown and Coke in my hand, and I'm sitting there, and he's like, oh, Dave, you're a drummer. You drink Crown. I know another Dave loves Crown, plays drums. I know you're. And so then we play the show, middle afternoon show, goes great. Right before we play, me and Alfonso, me and my bass player Cito go to the bar. We get 3 shots of Crown, and we go, bro, to music. This one's to music. Hey, Bob, come here, bro. He comes over. Bob Jameson grabs the shot and he goes, hey, to music, boys. And me and Cito went,
There it is.
bro.
let's have.
And that was kind of like, you're like, all this synchronicity.
Weirdly enough, tons of synchronicity. We play the show. It goes great. Middle afternoon, which is a weird time to play, right? 2:00 in the afternoon.
But somehow it's always, that's when you can, that's the
Normally
only time
band
you can do
members
it.
are
Waking up
normally band
sleeping,
members
bro.
are still
We're
sleeping
still
at
asleep
that
at
time,
that
bro.
point.
100%. And so we're working a reverse graveyard shift at this point, right? And so he's like, maybe I got a show tonight. You guys want to go see Foo Fighters? I think I can get you guys in. I'm like, bro, you're the fucking president of the label. You get us. We were like, oh, thanks, man. Cool. Fuck, we'd love to. Turns out he asked us to come to Pink Taco to the meet and greet where Foo Fighters are just chilling.
Nice.
And you had Steve Lillywhite? I forget. You had 3 other major producers just cruising around in Pink Taco. We come walking up. Bob Jameson goes, hey, Dave, come here. Dave, and introduces me to Dave Grohl. And I don't get
Now you're like, you
I don't get
fucking
starstruck,
faint,
but I
right?
had a little boner. Like, I was like half masty. But
You got a mini.
he's like, bro, and he goes, Dave, drummer. And I go, and Dave Grohl looks at me and goes, dude, you play drums? You want a hug? I was like, fuck, I do. Nice. And then I turn around and somebody comes up. There's a photographer and a tray of Crown Royal shots. And me, Bob Jameson, and Dave Grohl, we take a picture taking a shot of Crown Royal together. I still have that on my bar to this day.
No shit.
Awesome.
And
man.
it was one of those things. Now, dude, Dave Grohl
You send it to us, and we'll just kind of map it in on here.
Yeah,
all right,
yeah. Send us that shot.
I will.
Yeah,
I
we'll
will.
map it in the shot.
Right
And you know
about
what the best part
now.
was, bro?
Right.
In that time, don't look at that. I'm wearing this shirt, bro. Miller's Outpost, like Hawaiian shirt. That I'm like, and you look at it to
Miller's
this day,
Outpost
you're
was
like,
the
you're
shit,
like,
dude. That's
who
where
the
you get your
fuck?
shit.
Why
Did you
I
have
think
like a
that would be
puka shell
cool?
necklace on too, bro?
Bro, I think so. I think so.
You
I
also
looked
had the backwards hat on.
Oh no! I had like hair done, ish.
But they were frosted, right? The tips were
I
frosted.
hope so. I think probably. But dude, I was like, I look like such a heat-seeking douche missile, and like. But I'm like, I chose that shirt, huh? Okay, all right, cool. I did it. Nothing I can do about it. But
Classic.
coolest part is Dave is as cool as everybody says, and as a label mate, because fast forward to where we got signed and hung around him a few other times. He's everything you think he is. As cool. We're walking down the hall they're going to their show. Everybody goes, "Hey, Dave!" He stops a crowd of like 60, 70 people. "What's up, dude? Hey, man, you coming? No? Hey, get this guy tickets." Anybody that stopped him and said hi to him, he was giving tickets to the private show.
No shit, no.
And you could see the Doc Martens people being like,
What are you doing?
Dave, did you play that that the VH1 Rock Honors, like the band battle, that first one that we won, the indie show was
No, that was Doucette.
that was
No.
you said. Okay,
No.
so that was just before Dave came in.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
funny you're talking about Grohl because so we won this band battle, right? And they invited us to the VH1 Rock Honors at the fucking Mandalay Bay Event Center, and the VIP party is at House of Blues, right? Which is, you know what I mean? I mean, fuck,
Stomping grounds, right?
We saw Clockwise at the House of Blues, bro, and we're like, we teched for them. Do you remember us teching for you guys at?
"No, bro. Like,
It's like, nah, bro.
We didn't really tech. I think we moved.
I didn't let many
we
people."
moved gear, bro.
Honestly,
Like,
the
that's what
only
we did.
person I ever let tech for me was Cuzzo.
was Cuzzo, right?
That's the only person that's ever drum tech for me. He's the only person I ever trusted with my
Okay,
drums.
so we'll get to that, but we were talking about Grohl and like and how cool this guy is, right? And I'm standing at the bar up in Oba, right? Remember, like the VIP-ish of
the after party lounge.
like-
yeah.
And I'm at the bar and I order a shot of Jaeger, and this guy walks up next to me and he's like, "Yeah, make that too," and it's fucking Dave Grohl, bro. Like right next to me, and I'm like, "Holy shit, Mr. Grohl!" And he's like, "Just call me Dave, dude." And I was like, "Well, we just won this band battle, and we're like, what do you have? Like, what advice do you have for us?" And he was like, "Quit your job, quit school, get in a van, go on tour." And then we did the shot of Jaeger, and he fucking
Nice.
like just.
It's funny how you
did
followed that
all of
advice. And we're like, took the team.
We did exactly that. We followed the rules. I wrote it down.
Bro. So,
Yeah.
anyways,
Okay, so let's
Sounds like
get
you guys
into,
went with RCA. Huh?
So let's get into the RCA game.
We end
here,
up signing with RCA, and
How did you guys make that decision? Is it just because they're introducing you to all these guys and taking you to Pink Taco with Dave Grohl and blah blah blah?
because we knew we had the support of
segment.
we knew we would have the support of the president.
Yeah.
Right.
Which you can't beat, right? And
Yeah.
he took the gratification of like, I found that band. He gave us a guy named Steve Ferrero was our A&R, and
Well, you know what's funny too is all the names that I'm like, dude, these
We heard it.
these,
Yeah,
and as you know, the music industry is a giant, small.
it's
fucking industry
so much tinier big than people think.
than people think.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's everybody kind of knows everybody.
So, anyways,
That's why the rule is don't be an a-hole. We know.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And so, yeah, the signing to RCA happens because we knew Bob and George was good friends with him. So it all kind of like, it felt right. It made more sense.
It was a good team.
While we were in Polly's office for Epic, though, she was like talking about it. And one point we realized she's like talking about us. And we were like, have you listened to the demo? And she was like, well, I haven't yet, but they've told me it's great. And we were like, whack, whack, whack. And that was kind of the like, oh, that's not cool.
Right.
Bob saw us live and was like, he loved it. And so signed to RCA, and we pick a producer, and then we end up.
Did they give you full reign on that? Did they give you full reign to pick the producer, or
Yeah. Well, they gave us a
did?
list of like 5 or 6, but you
Okay.
could tell who they were pushing for.
Who was on number
And
one.
if you trust your management, and if you trust your people that are around you that have been getting you to where you are, you're like, okay. and it was a guy named Dan Broadbeck who. Amazing, super cool dude.
He's a Cranberries guy, isn't he?
He did work with. Oh my gosh,
he's done a lot. Broadbent's done a lot.
She was great. She passed away.
Sinead
O'Connor? No.
The lead singer of Cranberries. I can't remember.
He worked with her
either.
specifically.
Dolores.
Yeah.
Dolores O'Riordan. And so, but he was working with us in 01, and we did pre-production though in LA. We spent, I don't know, like 2 weeks living in what's that apartment complex that everybody, Oakwood Studios, like where they put everybody up at one point. We the furnished apartments that we stayed in.
Nice.
So we're staying in Oakwood, and we're in the room that, do you remember Limp Bizkit's album? And you remember the song Break Stuff? And right before the song starts, you hear
of course.
the glass break, and then he's like, and then the song starts.
Yeah.
So they were doing pre-production themselves. That's a recording of them in the room. We were doing our pre-production, and my drums were set up. That was a former recording studio that they just turned into all rehearsal studios. And that glass sat behind me. It was like, that was the lore of that room. That was the room that he threw his microphone, fuck this, and he threw it and broke the window of the control room.
Oh, wow.
And then next to us...
So you guys were doing pre-pro in the fucking
room
apartment?
that recording was done. And next to us getting ready for their tour was Cypress Hill. And the room next to them was Bad Religion. Wow. So we're like practicing, and then we'd stop, and you hear fucking insane in the membrane. We're like, and then
That's surreal.
And then this is a story I probably shouldn't tell, but when you're in LA, please tell me. When you're in LA, or when you're traveling, you don't, before marijuana was legal, you had to find it.
Yeah.
And some guy in the glasses and a backpack's hanging out in the lobby of Cole rehearsal, and we may have procured some things. Turns out it's the guitarist for Bad Religion.
Herbal remedies.
Who we were getting things from.
Also, / weed dealer.
Yeah. I mean, you got to have a thought.
Who is it?
The guitarist for Bad Religion.
Oh, my God.
And so, he was...
even back then...
He was ahead of his time.
See, even a band as big as Bad Religion back then, they had to have an alternate revenue stream.
But it was so weird at the time, because we're grinding so hard. We're like, oh my God, we have this $1 million deal. We got to make the best of it. We got to, spend 8 days a week, 10 hours a day in this room. And we did, man. We were there every day.
Yeah.
And he was working with another band called Headstrong, Dan was, and they had a room across the way. And you'd be sitting there, and like Alicia Silverstone would go walking by because she was hanging out with her boyfriend's band that's over in this room. And it's so Hollywood, right? It was so Hollywood.
Oh, yeah. It's kind of like when you're at the Roxy and shit,
yeah,
dude, and people are just moving in and out of
and
the
you're
place.
just kind of like, okay, cool, whatever. We were so focused, and we basically scrapped almost all of the music and rewrote everything.
Wow.
And started from scratch. We took all the Phatter Than Albert songs and took maybe this piece from here and maybe this piece from here, and rewrote everything with Dan's kind of help, because he was an amazing guitarist as well. Okay. And so as a musician and just a producer, if you have faith and love in your producer, a lot of good can happen.
Right. And we just had Kane on like not too long ago, and we were discussing the producer's role, right?
It's huge.
It's fucking huge, dude. Especially if you don't have a producer type in the band, like my brother's getting pretty damn good at it at this point, but there's a certain level of just
I still think you need
10,000 hours.
I still think you need an outside.
Oh yeah.
View.
We definitely need someone outside.
Yeah, you need the outside looking
even if you
in.
want to call it a co-producer, you still need that, and you still need to give them their due and their trust in what they're hearing, because you're in the hole.
Yeah.
You need that outside of the hole going like, well, hey, man, if you could only hear the echo from here, you would understand why I'm saying take out that part, whatever it is. There's this thing that you may be hinged on because emotionally it means something to you, but in the grand scheme of a song, you think it's a hook and it may not be. Or maybe they see you do something, they're like, dude, do that. Right. And you are just going to pass through and keep on noodling, whatever it is. Even drums, guitar.
Yeah, they're identifying all of these great parts and pieces and mapping them together and locking this song to that song. And this is the chorus.
Way, right?
Yeah.
So you're looking at it like this way, like the song.
Yeah.
We got to come back to this when we get into the Some Kind of Alchemy recording with Elvis Basquet and Studio Barbosa. But before we do that, please continue with Lay Her Down. That came out. You guys released that.
Yeah, so we record the album. Actually, we recorded in London, Ontario at EMAC Recording Studios, is where Dan was recording out of. And we were there actually during 9/11. It was me and Cito were outside, like having our coffee right outside the studio morning time. Remember, it's 3 hours ahead, Vegas time, right?
Yeah.
So it's 8 a.m. or something, and it's one of my last days. I'm having to lay drum tracks, and the engineer comes out and he's like, "Hey man, you might want to come inside. There's something going on in New York." And we were like, "Okay, dude,
whatever."
And kind of, yeah. And he goes, "No, like, I think it's serious." Dan called, said, "You guys check it out." And we walked in the room as the second plane went through the tower, and we were like, "Dude, what?" And you can't
unwind that, dude.
But you can't even
I did the
compute
same
what's
thing.
happening.
I walked into my living room. I got a call from my buddy, and he's like, "Hey, dude, Jake." He's like, "Hey, dude, turn on the news, man. A plane just hit the World Trade Center. There's a World Trade Center here in Vegas." And I'm like,
"Yeah,
wow, it's right by the airport." I mean, you
Right?
know, and he's
Makes
all,
sense.
"Not that World Trade Center, dude. The one in New York. Turn the fucking TV on."
Yeah.
But go ahead.
And it's like, it's hard to
So when
compute.
you see that on, and I mean, I'll never forget that. I'll never forget that thought.
Yeah, and
when I watched that happen, 'cause it looked
had
fake.
Everybody has that imprint of where they were kind of at that time, right?
Yeah.
And like that
Couldn't
thing.
even imagine if I was the guy who was there.
Well, the
right?
weird part is like, first thing you think of is, oh my God, my family in Vegas and, all like this stuff. But then you're like, well, I'm safe as shit. Ain't nobody attacking Canada. So we're good.
We're good, eh?
No, we're fine, eh? Let's go get some more.
Some more poutine. We'll get
You
some
got
more
some poutine? Dude, Burger King has it. Let's go. And so, that was a weird time because we were also, while recording the album, sneaking out on weekends and doing the SlimJim tour, which had Saliva and Black Sheep and some other majors. And it was the coolest thing ever, man, because we were in different cities and it was like an and-one tournament around this Slim Jim where these bands are playing, but they're doing and-one and all this stuff. They would take over a downtown area, right? But Macho Man Randy Savage was the guy announced because he was a Slim Jim thing at the time.
Yeah.
And dude, one of those moments, besides Vern Troyer on the side of the stage during the Silver Bowl show, rocking out, was hearing Macho Man Randy Savage come out, "Ladies and gentlemen, Phatter Than Albert." And dude, it was like, okay, I'm done. I'm good. We are done.
I'm good. Oh, we're good. I can retire right now.
Guys, I want you to love this band coming out right now. And so, and he's retired wrestling at the time, but he's bigger than you think.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, he is a house. And I remember rolling up to him, like his arm was like my torso,
bigger than your
right?
But I mean, even his personality, and I've watched some documentaries on the guy, and his personality's just larger than
It was him.
life.
That was him,
Yeah.
right? And
yeah,
so
that's him. Yeah, that's him
he's
at home sleeping.
walking off, and he's having to be helped, man. You could tell
Yeah.
he was hurting his hips, everything
Knees,
about his
hips,
body.
everything.
He's walking. I was like, Macho Man, dude, thank you so much for announcing my band. He shakes my hand, and my hand just disappeared inside of his. It was just like, oh,
He's got a bunch of mitts.
I'm just a little boy. And he's like, you guys were great. I really liked it. So that was one of those like check marks in my life. I was like, Macho Man Randy Savage announced my band. And so we were sneaking out, but then 9/11 happened. And the very next show, the weekend we were playing, that was a Tuesday. I'll never forget it. It happened on a Tuesday. We were playing Chelsea Piers, New York City that next weekend. That got canceled.
Of course. Yeah.
And then DC was the weekend after that.
Canceled.
But the whole world shut down. Right. And, but it was so weird that those two cities were our next.
Do you
in
think
line.
that had a trajectory on your band's?
I thought you were going to say a trajectory on the planes. I was like, that's messed up, bro.
Too soon, baby. Too soon.
Too soon. Maybe a couple more years. I think it was it was an interesting wrinkle because the whole world stopped, but we didn't. We just kept going with the recording, and it almost like gave this new gravity to the time we were spending doing what we were doing. But then to get to the point of while we were there, as we're recording these songs, and like I said, we rewrote them, and the sound of our band completely changed to a much more rock and roll level.
Okay.
Less house party, hip hop, like rap and stuff, to super rock and roll. And we had looked at the album as a whole, and we were like, this does not sound like a Phatter Than Albert.
Okay.
Yeah.
And all of us sat down. It was mainly me, Austin, and Cito. We sat down and we were like, dude, that name was fun, but it doesn't fit what we're doing now. We grew so much in that time of recording this album and the RCA signing everything that we were like, we got to come up with a different name. I know that sucks, but dude, that Phatter Than Albert doesn't fit us. Because you'd be like, what are you guys, a punk band? What are you, hip hop?
Right.
And we weren't.
Yeah.
So it turned into this kind of like, we needed to evolve, and the name needed to too. It actually had nothing to do with the label.
You know, it's funny because Kane was talking about that last night too, right? That the name has to fit the image.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, it's about the branding, the marketing.
Yeah, and it didn't.
Absolutely.
And so we made the decision, as hard as it was, and as much as we were attached to a name with a PH in it, that like, you know, I think we should grow up a little bit. And we had all these, some of them were so bad. And the hardest thing in the world is to figure out a name for a band. Writing the music is easy. Figuring out a name is hard.
Well, I mean, I know another band that has a Y's in it too.
Bro,
you know,
somehow
where did you guys come up with the Clockwise?
And
because it was the
I'm
only
glad we're
one-
touching on that real quick because we were already otherwise playing shows, and
With
then,
Phatter Than- we said
and then
open
you
for
guys
you
became
guys.
Clockwise, and I was so fucking pissed, bro. I was like, "Are you fucking kidding me?" Like, the biggest band in Vegas is now Clockwise, and like we're
just the other Y's.
we're just
Yeah.
the other Wise now.
Yeah,
Like,
you got to
Jesus.
imagine, bro. That was actually a decision. I was like, "Am I going to be in another Wise band?"
Like, for
You were the first wise
I had to like, you got to get over that. You gotta, all right,
Yeah, let me see if I can get
Well,
past
let's
that.
sleep on it and we'll figure it out in the morning.
it was a thing. But
Okay, so before we get to that, will you tell? Okay, so the album comes out with RCA, and then from what I understand, in this scene right out here, I mean, you guys end up getting shelved. Is that correct?
But
through
real-
RCA?
So I don't. When you changed the name, was the label just like, yeah, good idea, or were they like, wait, what are you guys doing?
no, they were for it. They were for
yeah.
it because
Okay.
they started hearing the songs, and the feeling was mutual.
Got it.
I mean, the great thing is that they're listening, you know? And we talked about that too. Like, labels don't do everything
Well,
bad. A lot of the stuff they do is right too.
There
They
was-
do bad and good stuff.
There was some shenanigans. There was at one point, you know, so Bob Jameson left while we were recording.
Oh, that's the worst. dude.
So, you know, the deal's signed. We're already recording. It's there.
And now he's out.
Your
Now we got a
guy's
new
gone.
president,
Yeah.
and they were already thinking about dropping us because they were starting to like, you know, that's how it works. President changes, we're changing a lot
Yeah,
of stuff.
regime
Now,
change.
also
Right.
remember the time it is. It's 2001.
Yeah, there's
Pop
a lot
is-
of problems going on
Pop
right now.
is coming up, right?
Yeah.
And we are the Christina Aguilera label, and
Yeah.
so we sent them.
Eminem changed a lot of that momentum, right? When his stuff came out, everything just started
It was that
moving in
Britney,
that direction.
Christina,
Yeah.
Eminem kind of thing, right? And
That
but
was
we
like
sent them the
NSYNC and-
song.
In sync.
Yeah. And we sent them the song "Open," and it was just, you know, studioed, not even mixed, you know, mixed to a certain degree. And that song is why they were like, "Oh, keep going." That the song "Open" is why we got to keep recording, and the label was like, "That's good, keep going."
Okay.
And so we kept record the whole album, and then we, you know, we get it packaged. We do all the picture stuff and do all the stuff you got to do, and then we go on tour. And our first tour is with Alice Cooper. No, I'm sorry.
I thought it was Van
Sammy
Halen.
Hagar, David
It
Lee
was-
Roth
yeah,
tour.
that one.
When those two were touring together as headliners, we were their opener, and they would switch nights of headlining. That was how their thing was.
I remember that.
And Ray
I
Lazier
remember
was
those
playing
ad
with
mats.
David Lee Roth at the time, so I got to meet Ray Lazier. We actually had a fucking, we had this super long distance in San Antonio, dude. We were right behind or in front of Ozfest, so amphitheater tours, right? And so some of those, you know how there'd be multiple stages. Sometimes we'd be main, but mainly it'd be that side stage right next to the main, and that's what we're playing on.
Yep.
And so at one point I'm sound checking, and then I hear on the main, Ray is sound checking, but he's not. He's just kind of dinking, and I'm like, gong, gong, fucking dong. I'm doing a tom, and next thing you know, he's doop-a-doop-a-doop-a-doop. So I start fucking boop-a-doop-a-doop-a-doop. And we are literally 300-400 yards away from each other. Main rig, our rig. Next thing you know, we're trading fours from hundreds of yards away. And it's Ray Lazier, bro.
cool.
It's Ray Lazier, right?
Badass.
So then I decide to be a smartass and start playing the shittiest version of Hot for Teacher you can. And he just goes, does the Ray Lazier, just murders me. And I go, ding, on the right. Like, winner. And I'll never forget that. And then in craft services later, we're sitting there, I was just like, hey man, I'm the
That was
drummer.
me.
Thanks, Thanks, bro. And it was a funny moment. But
that is classic.
We were on that tour, and they were super gracious to us. And then we ended up on Alice Cooper's tour. We were opening for Alice Cooper for like a couple months.
Did you have the album out when you guys started this tour?
Yes, we were promoting the album.
Cool.
And we got it actually on tour. It's like you get to the hotel and there was your first box of your album shows up and you're just like, oh my God, we're like official and shit.
Yeah, that happened with True Love Never Dies.
I remember that.
It's I'll never forget that feeling of getting your hard work in that, the kids' CD format.
Right.
And we did the Alice Cooper tour, and then we toured with Kitty, and we toured with Murder Dolls, and did some tour stuff or whatever. And then the industry. So what happened was Clive Davis and RCA. He owned J Records, which was Britney.
Yeah.
And Christina was RCA, and they merged with the deal that Clive becomes president. And every rock act except for Vertical Horizon and Foo Fighters, anybody that's not making profit, see ya.
Gone.
So you're gone, and you get dropped. And it turned, and you can imagine from 2002 on, it was just a pop wave.
Yeah.
And if you weren't, and you can imagine too the monetary take of Foo Fighters. They're recording their own album in his basement. And it's like the cost of Foo Fighters compared to us, who have Andy Wallace mixing the album and taking points and doing all that stuff. Major label shenanigans, dude. And and then when we didn't stop right after that, we actually started playing shows. We played one show with you guys. I don't even know what that is.
Moondoggies in San Diego?
No, on Rainbow and Oakey.
No, yeah.
Oh, Rainbow and Oakey.
I was in high school, dude. I was in high school.
Yeah, holy shit.
And then we played some other House of Blues gigs and whatnot, but eventually it fizzled, right? And so
all the marketing behind it they just
gone.
took it all away.
Yeah, and we're changing management, and we're changing that's
and I mean, I don't think you guys, at that time too, there was no social media, so you guys didn't even develop a core for anybody to
text
even
messaging
remember
wasn't even
you.
a thing,
right? Yeah, so. It's so crazy to think about it today, how important all of those facets for a band are.
MySpace was just coming out around this time.
Yeah.
Without a record label, you can't do any of this shit.
You were like, bro, we got on City Life.
We got to write up and see
Do Las Vegas Weekly. Hear about this new magazine? And so, there wasn't the... you couldn't do it yourself. You just couldn't. There was no version of it. You really had to have a push or some help. And then I left Clockwise, and
Year?
I was 07.
Okay.
07.
So you guys were pushing this from 2002 to 2007.
Yeah, 2006.
It's your day job? Or you guys got day jobs and you guys are still trying to keep this thing
I worked
alive?
at an indoor skydiving place.
Fly
I was
away.
instructing, fly away and then turn into
the
Vegas.
original,
I
skydiving.
remember that place right off the strip, right?
Yeah.
OG one.
I started there in 97. That was a cool job to have because even when we go on tour, we'd come back and still have a job. Because training instructors takes a minute. And so you got me and Cito, me and the bass player worked. We come back, they were like, oh, thank God. We need people.
Thank God you guys didn't make the next round of touring.
Right? No, for real. And so I worked there always. And then I remember getting a call from Adrian one day. I stayed in touch with these guys and, knew people on the scene, still go to shows and all that. And Adrian did the, hey, man, so Alan is leaving and we got a gig coming up. Any chance, bro, you can maybe learn the songs? And I was like, dude, I ain't trying to be in a band.
Didn't you come over with Ducky because you guys were starting
Oh, you know
Madam?
what? You're right.
Were doing
And you kind of came in.
You're right.
You came with Madam and watched us rehearse. We're like, holy shit, Dave
You guys were doing a
McMahon's here.
showcase just soon after that at a place downtown somewhere. I forget what it was. But you were doing a showcase, and I remember coming over with Ducky.
With Madam, right? Music, artist development and management.
Music artist development
was that a
marketing.
Madam show?
It wasn't a Madam
No,
show.
but they had come over.
We were starting to think about working with you guys and seeing if we could help and be a part of whatever. It's Ducky and myself and whatever. I was trying to do the I'm no longer a musician. I'm one of these people that helps
I'm an
the
executive.
musicians, right?
But rightfully so, because you had gone through it. And so you did have some.
Yeah, you had a roadmap,
knowledge
right?
on it.
I get.
I mean, you gave us a lot.
I still don't know what the fuck I'm doing, but
What was the other guy's name? There was another Dave.
Matt.
Matt Worm, dude. Matt Worm.
Matt Worm.
Wow. Okay.
So those two guys were really. I was working with them as well as doing the tunnel thing, and then came to the studio at your house,
Wise House, yeah.
at the Wise House,
Mom and Dad's house,
Brother Wise Studio, and
It's actually called the Wise Womb.
It's so warm in there. And so it was so hot in the summer though. So I remember coming there, and then Alan was leaving not long after that. You called me, and I was like, man, I'll cover that one show for you, bro, but I'm not trying to be in a band.
And you're telling me it was
Alexis
the show
Alexis Park
on the roof of the Alexis Park. That show.
We played with Digital Summer.
With Digital Summer from Phoenix.
And I remember I brought Jason Wadinez in too, because you needed another guitarist. Your guitarist, the guy that was from what other band? I forget. He was the bass player of another.
Walker Warren.
Yes.
Warren. He was in
so I started jamming, and he was there. And
Jam. Oh yeah.
You remember this, dude?
It was one rehearsal.
And he had some little. I mean, he had a moment that was.
It was about a girl,
but he was.
That's right.
How do I put this nicely? He's being a bitch. and I'm not one to hold
Band
back.
members are always worried about all these girls.
But he was just being like, I need to take a break. And I was like, hey, man, I need to learn these songs. So if you put that back over your shoulder and let's keep going. He was just like,
that sounds like the epitome of the otherwise story, bro.
So he
how many times has that happened?
So yeah, and then like and all of a sudden I felt bad. I was like, man, did I just make you lose a guitarist?
Yeah.
But
you were like, yeah, dude. So now you got to be the drummer.
So yeah, no, I wasn't like that. Maybe a little bit. And then Jason came, and what's funny about Adrian's compression socks right now is that I remember Jason. It's cool, man. Your diabetes. But I remember Wadinez was wearing socks like that when we played that show. For some reason, that's one of my memories of that show. I was just like, why is he wearing those? All right,
who Wadinez was?
Yeah, he was wearing socks up to his knees, and I was just like, does he have diabetes? I don't think
he going roller skating later.
That's right, man.
He's ahead of his time. So nailed it, bro.
Bro, I remember that show at
Alexis Park.
At Alexis Park on the roof.
That was my first. I was that and done.
Yeah.
And then.
And I had a handlebar mustache and a mohawk, bro. And I have a picture of that, dude.
I believe it, bro.
And Radley was our bass.
You and your face pubes have always been something. Yeah, like something. I remember you were like, "I'm going flames today." Fucking. But we started noodling after that, and you had that Shapes of Metal riff, and it was fun, and I like had that that juice started going, and I was just like, oh man, this might be kind of fun. Hey, let's finish that song. We finished that song, and then I don't remember what we did after that, but Shapes of Metal, just
Initiative, Shapes of Metal.
I was first in Initiative, but then
got a Dignity too.
Okay, so
that was like one of the rockin' ass moments ever, dude.
Yep.
Right, and so now like kind of circling back a little bit to the Elvis Basquet sessions and the function of a producer. That I remember that song. You guys had these amazing parts, right? That rocked the fuck out, but it was very disjointed. And Elvis came when we actually got to sit with him at Studio Barbosa in Virginia Beach. He was like, "No, that's like the the post." Or the pre-chorus,
right?
You know, take that part and make it this instead of like, I don't even remember. We were just throwing it in somewhere randomly.
Yeah, you remember he just finished with Story of the Year.
Yeah, yep.
Escape the Fate, and
Story of the Year had
Story of the Year
left
literally
the
had just
studio.
no. Actually, it was that other local band had just left. And remember, we ran into them at the airport. They were just coming back.
Was it the Classic Crime?
No, it's the dude's still playing.
Oh, Lydia Vance.
Yes,
now
Lydia Vance.
Mercy Music.
Right before them, Story of the Year just got done doing the Black Swan.
The Black Swan, which is a fucking killer.
Right,
record.
so you knew if anybody knows that album, you can kind of understand where your producer's head was at that time, what he was kind of recording and that sound. And if you listen to a little bit of our stuff, there's a little bit of that, mid, I hate calling it the aughts. The mid 2000s, right? Sound is where we were kind of pinning in on. And then when we did, he had, once again, that outside view of like, hey, I know you're hearing it like this, but I don't know if you see that Grammy on the wall there. But
the shiny, can you?
No, don't touch it. And that studio was so rad, dude. Remember the upstairs was the actual control room.
It was like you walked. It was like
a balcony out to the
deck.
Chesapeake Bay Beach area.
Dude,
We would
I was
get up-
19 years old, man. That was unreal, man.
We would- yeah.
19, 20 years
We would
old.
get up like super early by like 11, like make some coffee, like go for a run on the beach.
Yeah, we all had our own rooms with
all
TVs.
had our own
Do
rooms.
you
DVD
remember? Now
players.
imagine it's Bayvon, Virginia. Literally, Pocahontas is buried right by there. The oldest lighthouse, I think, like in our country, is you can see it
that's
from where we
right.
were.
No kidding.
We
But
walked over there.
you'd have to drive in from where we were just a little bit to the grocery store. This little tiny town, Bayvon, the whitest town you've ever seen, right?
And what was the name of the grocery store? It was like Lions.
Food Lion.
It was-
Food Lion.
It was
Food
it
Lion.
might have
Something
been, yeah,
Lion.
something like that. But it pretty much said like beige people we're scared of. Yeah. And so we go walking in, and I'm with me and you were walking around the corner, dude, and. This lady turns the corner and she sees me, and then she sees Adrian with his flames on his face, and she's like,
she did this thing, bro.
and she turned right around 180. It's like, I'll get my cereal later. and I
remember that,
And I looked
bro,
at him and I
and I was
go,
like, you see,
bro, you are scaring people. It ain't me.
It's the
I remember
flame.
that.
Yeah, and I go, it probably the spikes on your face.
Oh, what a
That was, but when we recorded that, it was the other thing that happened. Remember, the manager at the time, Mark Hornsby.
Yeah.
We
He says hi, by the way.
hi, Mark. He showed up after us, and he showed up kind of at night. So you had to fly into Virginia Beach, then you had to drive in. But we convinced him that Elvis was super weird. Like, do not make eye contact.
Do not
like,
look at him. Do not address him.
I mean, speak quietly. and he also was like, hey, I'm going to call him Bruce Hornsby.
Oh, yeah, and then Elvis is like,
and
"I'm gonna
so,
call him Bruce."
So we played it right, and he comes walking in, and Mark's like super kind of weirded out.
Eyes
And he comes
down.
up, and Elvis walks up, not looking at him, gets right in his ear and goes, hi, Bruce. And Mark's like,
Elvis. Yeah, and he's just like, remember the whole
and
time
he
just
wouldn't look
looking
at him.
the floor,
And
bro.
about
He's just like-
it was so good, dude. And
it was such a good prank.
about like only like 15 minutes because we couldn't fucking hold it, dude. We were just like, because we were like, dude, stop looking. And then finally we were like, bro, Elvis is cool, bro. We're just kidding. And the ice was broke after that.
that's good,
remember,
man.
all he would eat was
Veal, dude.
Veal.
Yeah.
He was doing those veal cutlet things or whatever.
Yeah.
He was on a certain diet. That was a fun time, but recording those songs also, I think, changed the way that we looked at writing. We started looking like
Arrangements.
Yeah, a lot of arrangements coming. You take that producer mind, and if you're smart, you take those with you,
Right.
And you apply.
And we
it.
learned, and that's the thing is, I would like to say we learned a lot. We learned from that experience. You know what I mean? Where, I mean, we could have just been like, oh, whatever.
Well, and also, remember Larry Elia in Arizona? And we had to go, we recorded a few with that. You also learned to, not that it was the worst ever, but it was like, oh man, there's a big difference in producers, and you learn energy between somebody, and when you can actually, oh, this is going to go good, or okay, we got to get through this, and we're paying for this, so let's do it.
So let's just get it done.
Let's get it done, right? As opposed to the experience we had in Bayvon, let alone it was super magical. We're on the freaking beach, dude.
Yeah.
And the place was awesome, which it's gone now, unfortunately.
Really?
Yeah, I believe a hurricane took it out.
Yeah.
There was
shit.
some storm or something. Yeah, that whole house is gone. That
It was
whole
his grandmother's house,
Okay.
and that's where he built it. Called it because her name was
Because
like Barbosa.
he's
or
in
something.
Florida now, I think.
Her nickname
right?
was-
He is.
like
Yeah. Yeah.
which is where he was from.
Barbarossa.
Okay.
Barbarossa.
Okay.
Barbarossa, I think.
Yeah, that was such an epic time, man.
It was so cool because, when a band gets to do that and you're housed in a place for a specific reason, it really brought me back to the Clockwise times when we were housed somewhere. We are here to record an album.
Yeah.
And it's a beautiful environment. And
Yeah,
You know what's
magical.
cool is we did that stuff
Kinda
together.
focus, right?
That the moment we're talking about right now, we were there with you. You were there with us, and it was. But you had already gone through that, and we didn't know. I didn't know this stories about how Phatter and Clockwise, like you guys did that stuff. But like you
I
were
know
there.
a little bit of it.
Yeah.
But yes, exactly.
came in
We'd
with,
never
like,
done
a-
that before.
And there was a lot more.
You're like,
to all
it's
that.
like, dude, listen. Been there, done that. Okay,
No.
listen, guys, this is the way that we're gonna do it.
Man, if you imagine, when you have strong personalities in
Yeah.
a room, there is no one saying, here's what we're going to do.
Yeah.
Because it can quickly jump off, so it was just
Yeah,
like,
go the wrong direction real fast.
but as you know, JB, you guys and your acronyms, like these guys are a weird combination of assassin and poets and lovers on top of like, hey, we'll kill you, but we'll kiss you while we do it. You know, like, and so they're the heart is what saved a lot of.
He should have wrote our damn biography for the last record, dude. we need a stupid publicist, man. What the hell, dude?
They're all fake. Yeah, man. Like, so that dynamic always kept me humble because it was like, you had other strong personalities, you know, like you can't walk all over these guys. And you wouldn't have respect if you could, right? And so that kind of level, and in Otherwise, even in my tenure of Otherwise, it's all about camaraderie. And it was all about brothers. And like, no, we look out for each other. So there was no room for here's how we're going to do it.
Yeah.
It was a lot of like, hey man, I was thinking this.
You were understanding the meaning of the word pals, which we were talking about.
Yeah.
Pals,
Right.
yeah.
Pals.
Yeah, there was some palship.
A lot of palling around.
No, but we had some killer times though in town.
Bloody knuckles, broken glass. There was quite a few times that happened.
And like, it's also another one of those things too. Like, yeah, like where just even within the relationship, and then Adrian, you know, by nature is just soaks everything in. Next thing you know, it's in a song. Be careful what you say around this guy. But we had a moment where he just got out of a relationship, which seems to be the theme of this podcast. And it was like
Personal, professional relationship.
No reason.
all the
Like,
same.
no
hey, we
reason
need an
at
album,
all.
bro. Can you
Somebody's getting fucked.
listen, bro? You and Jess, something needs to happen.
dude, I
bro.
literally was like, babe, I need to write a hit song. You might have to break up.
Listen, I need you to move out for a month and make me miss you. But no, like you were in between something and you were boo-hooing, bro. And your heart was absolutely broken. And you kept like talking about it. And I looked at you. We were on the stairs at your parents' house. I was on the stairs. And I looked and I go, bro, you got to stop saying that stuff. You're the only person you're saying it to is yourself.
Right.
You're going to keep suffering if you don't suffer in silence, bro. You need to just take it in, swallow it down.
Fuck up.
Next thing you know, suffer, ringing, silence, and living in the past, within the shadows. Right? I'm like, I can't say shit to that guy. But that, you know, like stuff like that, if it meant something to him in that, and he did. He shut the fuck up.
Except on stage.
Yeah, except on stage. And then it was like, we're getting kicked out. But, you know, it was like all of those emotions that, you know, he was going through is what.
Do you
created
remember
songs.
that? Do you remember him saying that
vividly?
to you? Vividly.
Right. Vividly,
Yeah.
I remember that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Weirdly enough, man, as much as these guys are, you know, super just flattering with their like, you did all this. I never felt that way, dude. I was a single dad. Another really, really, really awesome dynamic was their parents. Oh, yeah. I had a daughter that was like 4, 5, 6 years old at this time. Mm-hmm. And I'm single daddy. Like I used to get Happy Mother's Day texts every year because I was mom and dad type stuff. Yeah, and so she was with me everywhere. When I was running the wind tunnel, she was at she grew up in a wind tunnel and the Otherwise band room. Mm-hmm. Or in the kitchen with mom and dad, you know, buttering up a naan, right?
Yeah,
she'd be cooking a naan and be like, "You want butter?" Yes. And so, there was a keyboard, one of those Blue Man keyboards that you put your hand over to make sound keyboard. So we put earplugs and gun muffs on my daughter. She'd be in the rehearsal studio thinking she was playing keyboard with us to the songs and like rocking out with us. And I'm looking at her like, "Good part."
Yeah.
Right. And we were rehearsing.
Yeah.
And
That's
she
so awesome.
and then she
Just
would go
kicking
back
her
in.
legs, like,
Totally.
Is she a musician? Is she a musician
No, man.
now?
No, she's not.
Okay.
I tried.
She
but
danced in high school, though, right?
She did. She went to LVA.
Same high school.
Yeah,
Okay.
she went to LVA. But she got caught in that Rona. Her sophomore year was the shutdown. So her high school got a little.
That's how my daughters were too.
Yeah,
they
super
got caught up in
unfortunate,
it.
man.
I
Like,
know, really bad.
I think school is as much about the social side as it is the education side, if not
Almost
more.
more so.
Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
And so
Really is.
she had got the unfortunate card on that, hand on that one. But I was so grateful during that time when I was in Otherwise because I felt so safe with my daughter there. And that's all that mattered to me.
We
at
had
the
a big
time.
old bull mastiff Rottweiler mix named Ruckus. And
Ruckus.
like, no
Ruckus.
dude, it was
Loved
just like they were
Ruckus,
best
man.
friends.
Yeah.
Ruckus and Kaylee and
It was the
Savo.
coolest.
And Sabo, and she would call what she just go Sabo. She
Sabo,
called him
yeah.
Sabo.
Yeah.
Sabo.
I still have the golf club that her and your dad painted with glitter paint and stuff and put like a bow on it and stuff. I still have it. Because that time, I mean, for me, my mom passed away not too long before I joined.
Yeah.
I'm single dad McGee, and now I'm like trying to be in rock, and I'm trying to be make money and survive.
Yeah.
And then joining a band is not the smartest thing
Smartest
to do.
thing to
when you're trying to like be
You're
a
just
responsible
trying to
adult.
make money, right?
Yeah. And it was like opposite. Hey, this shit costs a lot, and drumsticks are expensive. Let alone the drum heads. And so it took a lot for me to actually join and do that, because I was like, hey man, I don't have time for this. I'm trying to raise my daughter. But then that family aspect of that house and that studio, I was like, this is where I'm supposed to be, dude.
You're at home.
This is where I'm supposed to be.
Yeah,
And
you just come over, open the fridge, make food. Like,
absolutely,
we were all
man.
just
There was
bros.
always good rice.
Yeah.
And so during that time, a lot of life happened for just myself that not even these guys knew about, just because of all that happening for me. But their parents, dude, there is nothing like their parents, man.
Yeah.
And I know you know, and you've been around them, and
Yeah.
so you understand exactly how much
100%.
there couldn't be more supportive people in this world to these guys, and the most follow your dreams people I've ever met. It was
Oh
the
yeah,
coolest.
I mean, my dad's like, get your ass out and get a job. What the fuck are you talking about dreams?
Same, dude. My whole family was cops, man. And my brother works at the airport. They were like, "You gonna get a county job?"
Yeah.
And I was like, "No, I'm doing this rock and roll thing." And they're like, "Who hurt you?" So it was like opposite. I am the opposite of everybody in my family. Now all of a sudden I'm like a professional guy, but I'm still in hospitality and tourism because of the wind tunnel, having that job. Just kind of, I ended up in that tourism kind of world of attractions and tours and all that stuff. So I've always worked like 8 days a week at one point, running lights at Tao while I was with you guys. I was running all night. I would run lights at Tao.
I remember
and then
when you
come
were
home,
running.
sleep
Wow,
for
I
about
forgot about that.
2 hours, wake up, take my daughter to school, go to work at the tunnel.
Go to the tunnel.
And then
come
I would
over
go
after.
to, and then I would pick my daughter up from school, go to rehearsal, then
And then
drop
go
her
to
off
work.
at my parents' house, go to work at Tao.
I remember
Sleep
when
2
you were
hours.
running lights there, dude.
Yeah,
Oh
and
my
it was like
God.
one of those, like, I didn't sleep during that time. It was like, man, you got dark circles, like, you think? It's like a deprivation is a thing. But it was what you had to do. So that was like, when they asked me to join the band, I was like, oh my God, bro, one more thing. I don't know, man.
Yeah.
I don't know. But then we
Then
started.
you start hearing the sounds and shit, and
Yeah.
you're like, yeah, I'm in.
Yeah, man.
Right?
It's like you get that, it was in me at the time to really like, I was like, me and Ryan, when we started writing music, and then he would come with vocals that I was just like, and there it is.
No, that's how they
It was
lured
really
me
coming
in
together.
too.
Right?
Yeah. Shit.
Fucking hucksters, bro.
Fucking shysters over
Fucking
here.
hucksters over
God
here.
damn it.
But it was, some of the fondest memories I have in my life during that time. It was like going back to the grind of playing music, playing shows, creating music, putting out what your heart told you to put out, and not because we weren't signed, right? So we were doing everything we wanted to do.
Yeah.
Hence why
And the band was getting bigger and bigger too, especially when Dave joined, because then it was like, oh, dude, Dave from Clockwise isn't the
Yeah.
Black
It was-
Dude,
I don't
otherwise
get,
must
I don't
be
get why
good.
that's a thing, but
Yeah.
It was like, man, these guys,
in the
they,
scene,
maybe
you
they
know?
don't suck. If
And then
Dave
there was the
McMahan is
battle,
playing with
that
them,
Diablo's battle of the band.
Oh,
we
yeah.
just like wrecked everybody.
just murdered
awesome,
all of
you
those
know?
kids in their dreams, dude. It was amazing, bro.
hucksters, bro. Hucksters. You guys are good pals.
But but we were talking about that on the way up here, like thinking about like talking points and such. You'd already gone through the major label record deal bullshit, but you were still game to be like, we're gonna go, dude. We have a fucking showcase at the Viper Room in LA. Let's go. And Cuzzo is like drum teching for you. And, but
That was tough though. That was getting challenged. I know because eventually leading to you having to because we were like, this is our first shot, and we're like, we gotta go, and you're like, dude, I got my little girl, and I've done this shit, I can't leave, and so it was that was starting to come up, and it was like, all right.
We made it happen.
That had to be hard. That had to be hard to do that because she's coming first for you, I'm sure,
Always.
right? And so it's like,
But their parents were, not to be all sappy, but it was interesting how the dynamic of, once again, I just lost my mom, and I was a mama's boy, and their mom became this kind of figure for me. and was taking care of my daughter as if it was her own granddaughter. Right. And that kind of love, man, will give you all kinds of energy. And you're like, these are the people I want to be around. You know, like this energy is what I go for. And if it's good energy, I'm there, dude. I'll read bad energy in a minute and I'm out. And so I think that was part of the motivation, was just that circle of good humans that was around them at the time, you know.
It's exactly what you needed, right?
Yeah, it was. And then Cuzzo was a wild man. And I remember meeting him and being like, this fucking guy, like he's too small to have such a big personality. And he did, man. He had the personality of 3 people. And then he was a drummer, and he was playing in a band, and he would be right there when we were playing shows. And I just knew it was as their cousin, but he's right there. And one time he like helped me with the drums, and I was always
the cymbal and shit.
Yeah, but I was always really careful. I was like, hey man, don't touch my shit. I've had my stuff messed up. You know, like as a drummer, when you're breaking things down, it's like, don't touch the stands. Only this part goes in, so it fits like it's all Tetris, right?
Right. Yeah.
And then you'll show up. I helped you out, man. You're like, you did not. And everything's broke down in a way. I have to reset. Well, everything reset to the way, because there's a way you can quickly.
Yeah.
But
I think I learned that with Corky at one point. I think I went in to help when he's like, dude,
when I get it cased up, help me carry it to the thing. Right?
Yeah.
But I trusted Cuzzo because he was like, just booms? You want that? And I was like, oh, you speak the language. And he knew. And so that guy was, I mean, there was nothing cooler than, and that was just an add to, once again, the family. It was their cousin, right? And I was just like, man, you guys got awesome humans. And then we were opening for Korn at the Pearl. And I had always wanted to play the Pearl. I had played Old Joint. I had played all these places around town that were considered. I remember playing the Huntridge.
The main stage at the Huntridge.
Well, I remember playing the Huntridge when I was like 13 on bass, or 14. We 4-walled a show, and I remember just being like, oh my God, thought I'd made it. And it was the Huntridge. House of Blues didn't even exist then. Right. So there was no other medium-sized venues in town. It was either
that was the place.
You played there or Thomas and Mack, or a bar, right? Yeah. But we were at the Pearl, and I'd always wanted to play that joint. And dude, we were doing an intro thing that was like you going zha-na-na-na-na, and I was supposed to be on just the kick drum going doom 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 doom, and the very first fucking note, my actual pedal, not just like it snapped in half. I was like, bah!
So it wasn't like the chain on the pedal.
No,
it was
the actual pedal
itself.
Snap.
And I was just like,
oh my God.
I forgot about that.
That is catastrophic failure. Right? So now I luckily had a double pedal. Now I'm left foot going, doom, doom, doom. Cuzzo! I'm looking at him, and he's like,
it's a show just started.
And he's looking at me, and he's like, why are you doing that with your left foot? And I rarely ever brought my spare pedal. It was a crappy other double.
Oh my God.
And I had it. And I was just like, you know, you're opening for Korn. You bring everything.
Right.
And I was like, grab my spare pedal. And we just made eye contact. Had such a connection at the time. He ran over, got it. And next thing you know, he's underneath me, undoing the pedal, right? And I had to switch over to the floor tom going, doom, 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 doom. Hurry, bro. I'm so scared right now. And I'm looking out. Everybody's
so scared right now.
Dude, I am. And I'm like, we're going to extend the intro. Right? And I'm like, oh, and we got it. And then we went through the show. But it was like one of those moments that where you just, you have a catastrophic failure on the first note. And Cuzzo saved my ass. Because he was right there, saw what was happening, and was just like, and he still had to put the bar out, tighten this, get there. It wasn't like sitting there ready to go.
Right. It's not just flip it out.
No.
It's work.
And that guy, from that day on, I was always just like, whatever you need, bro. Whatever you need.
Guys, such good times.
Yeah, such good times. But it was, you know, a lot of that era, you know, some of it's a blur, and then some things are as crystal clear. It's so weird. I guess it depends on how much we drank, but
which at some points was a lot.
Yeah. Bloody knuckles, broken glass, bro.
Well, I noticed, you know, and I didn't even realize this, but you know, I noticed that, you know, Phatter Than Albert became Phatter Than Clockwise just recently. You guys played a show. Do you guys have any additional plans to do?
No.
Talk to us a little bit about that.
Well, I've always stayed in touch with Cito and Austin specifically, and I pretty much we'd always kind of talked about maybe, because we never really got a book closing on that. It was just kind of like felt like the book was still open, and we didn't really get to get a good finish.
Right.
And we tried sort of ish once before, and it just didn't come to fruition. And then right before the pandemic, we were like, okay, we're going to do this.
Which is when you guys did the reunion show, was right?
It was like,
Going to do
it's
it.
happening. And then next thing you know, we're literally sitting at Cito's house and calls start coming through about gigs getting canceled. And it was just like, what do you mean gigs are getting canceled? What do you mean they don't shut down casinos?
They're never gonna shut down a casino here.
Dude.
Never shut that down. Famous last words.
That was absolutely the most unheard of thing in our town, right?
Yeah.
So it got halted. We were like, maybe it's not going to happen, dude. But then I think, what was it, 2021 or 22? I think it was 22 or 21. We made it happen. And it was, we brought in a couple. We had Matt Brunig was playing guitar as a mainstay. And we had another guitarist, and he's the baddest dude. And we had some guys that played with us over the course of it come in. Jason Tanzer played with us. We had Alfonso's son get up and play a song with us.
Oh wow, see those
Cool. Yeah, and
and you guys did
cool.
it. It was at the
Space.
The Space,
but it was a mixture of Phatter Than Albert and Clockwise. So I was like, I was like, hey man, we got to call this Fatter Than Clockwise, dude, because that's what this is. It's absolutely Fatter Than Clockwise because we're playing
all of it.
We're giving an ode to both of those, but it was just more of a book closing, man. We didn't feel like we got that end.
Sometimes you need the closure. That
Yeah,
kind of, right?
and Austin was better than he's ever been because he was doing cover gigs forever, even after all that stuff. So his muscle was still there. Not as much right before it, but enough that he still had it in him. And what was funny about singers is like the things you think are hard are not, and the things that you don't think are. Like I was like, oh, bro, the screams. He was like, oh, that shit's easy.
The screams are easy, dude. The fucking screams are easy.
It's high register and like wave stuff, things like that you're like, oh, okay, I guess that's the hard part. But
Good point.
because he had matured as a singer and matured as to what parts of his voice you use during certain things. Because when you do covers, you have to learn to emulate everybody, right? Every different type of singer. So you're starting to use every different part of your voice. And Alfonso he'd been playing constantly. He's still Zoe Bowie's bass player and all his other cover stuff around town.
He's playing with Chris.
He's still with Chris.
Oh, wow.
And so and some other things too. He's doing a stand-up gig thing right now that's super cool.
So is Austin still doing gigs too then?
Nah, he's more he's doing the production side of things. No,
Okay.
He's in the lighting realm and he all the Golden Knights games. He was the guy either up in the crow's nest or he was lowering the helmet or he was doing the cryo and doing all that kind of stuff.
Very cool. Okay.
Wow.
The music thing, man, you end up in some part of it or another. You may stop
Some part of
playing, but you
entertainment.
don't stop playing.
Yeah.
Right.
Just how it works.
For sure.
That's funny you brought up the before COVID. This is how you guys met. Is that show we played at the Vinyl where all the guys came to play, and that was the first time we had played with you in so many years.
Yeah.
And what did we play together?
Shapes of Metal.
We played Shapes of Metal together.
Bradley and
Bradley came
myself
up.
joined you for that song.
Yeah.
Dude, I remember that
was
stage
awesome.
and that drum riser was tiny.
Yeah. It was,
And you guys brought your screens, so it was right
Correct.
behind, and I was going to sing the backups, and the microphone was like, I had to ditch it because it was like, hey, this is going to sit on top of your snare, cool? And I was just like, that's not how that works. So I had to fucking toss the mic because it was like, all right, dude, I'm just going to focus on the drum part because that's what matters.
Well, I mean, those guys too at the place at the time, the techs around that whole venue could be a bit difficult to work with at times. You know?
That was something. But we did that thing with Otherwise with all the members coming, and then COVID hit.
Yeah.
It was
I remember
like,
it's so
talk about
weird.
it.
You had fucking Ron Jeremy in the
green
green room,
room.
and I was just like, I got to get out of here.
Vinny and Vinny Paul was at that show too.
Yeah, he was.
I remember we met. First time I met Vinny was at Cheyenne Saloon. Remember we were doing that. He was at that daytime show.
Yeah, he came.
He was at that 2
to
p.m.
support us.
Tom Mackay thing. He was in the dude. Remember everything that has happened around that guy at the time. You know, he had some dudes around him protecting him.
Yeah.
And so he's in the corner of the bar. Remember Dylan knew him and all that stuff.
Oh, that's
and I
right.
come walking. I was like, that's fucking Vinny Paul. I'm gonna go say what up. I got between like me to you distance, and one of the biggest, scariest dudes was like, "Can I help you?"
Yeah.
Just like, I'm just here to say hi to Vinny. And Dylan looks back and goes, "Oh no, he's cool, he's cool." So then you could get into that inner circle, but you didn't get anywhere near Vinny.
What
if
was
he
that
didn't want
other
you near
big
him.
those
buff
times,
white guy that would hang
not
out with
too long
Case? He was
after,
a little bigger than Case. Not Chandler. It was like he had like
Not
Attila.
Chandler,
No, it wasn't Attila. But
no, it was Attila.
It's all coming back.
It was
now.
Attila. You're talking
he
about
was one
Attila.
of Vinny's bodyguards.
You're talking
This
about
big, scary.
It was,
white
it
dude.
was Attila.
It was a big dude.
Yeah.
But that's where I remember meeting
right.
Vinny. Was at Cheyenne Saloon for that daytime showcase show.
Yeah.
Crazy, man.
That was fucking. Those are some times. I remember. I was telling my my wife now. I've known her since 7th grade. You guys know Sarah.
Of course.
Which we were like, which is wild because I knew his wife. I met Sarah in college before I ever actually officially met Dave.
Yeah.
And like her and I, she was like the homegirl. You know what I mean? Yeah, like.
Do you ever hear of Ricardo's?
Well, that's what I was just gonna say. Is Dave was telling me out in the hall there that you know, my wife's parents owned Ricardo's, and I'm like, I grew up on your food.
I mean, anybody who grew up in Vegas
on Friday
knows
night,
about Ricardo's.
My parents, when I was a kid, from the time we moved here, that was like my dad's favorite place, and we went to Ricardo's every Friday night.
It has such a history with so many people, and the coolest thing about it is everybody has a story from Ricardo's. Whether it was like, oh, I got married there, or we used to come every
Birthday
Fridays,
parties.
or birthday. I loved your buffet. You know, like whatever it was. Like there's so many.
I love the beef tacos. Beef tacos. Beef tacos.
Oh my gosh, man! What did you?
Dude, I love you, babe.
She's sitting right out
Did
front.
we play her 30th?
She's sitting right out there.
30th birthday. We played her.
We played
at
her
Red Rock?
30th birthday at Cherry.
Cherry.
And
Cherry, dude.
yeah, and we were remember that photo shoot we did? I still have those pictures somewhere. I'll send those to you too. Where there was this big
cup,
huge
and we
like
had the
martini
straws.
glass, and she's in the middle like this, and all of us are around her. And the further out you were, we just connected straws. So we were all drinking her drink with her. It was just like,
That was a great photo.
That was
shoot.
super fun.
That was
Oh
a good
my
time. And you know that was like for us. We were like coming up, right? And you came in and helped us with that. So it was such a like an innocent and exciting time.
It was right before the band. We had the fire on the Wise pot, the water.
you guys
we
had
it on high.
it going, man.
It
I
was
stepped
on
into
high.
a good situation. It wasn't like I did any sort of like.
No, but even
you
with
guys already were killing it.
With you there too, though, that's when the heat was on high, and then the boiling point, and you know, just recent because right after that, you know, 2010, 2011, you know, that's when Cuzzo died. You know, Soldiers came out. We signed a record deal, and within like 12 months before, that's when we're talking about. These memories were like within a year prior to all that.
Going back a little bit though,
but it was so innocent.
Why did you leave the band?
I think there was you started doing the In This Moment stuff, and then you guys went on tour, and it was, I think there was a sentiment of like, hey, what are we doing, man? Like, are we doing our band, or are you doing that band? What's going on? And Adrian was in a mode in that part in his life, and I was in a relationship that prior to my marriage now, and when you're hammered, you're honest. Yeah. And Adrian lost his shit, and at the end of the day, half of what he was saying was right, but I was in the midst of this relationship, and I was just like, man, you can't say that. Yeah. And then we had it out, and then I remember it was just one of those moments where you feel that it was the time.
It was shifting.
You know, you were like,
and it was shifting too.
It was shifting, and Hornsby started wanting to get out as management, and I just felt this like, is this my time? Yeah. And I remember, what was I going to say? There was this moment that happened. We had a throwdown in a street at his house.
In the yard.
Yeah, in the yard. And me and him threw down hard. We were fucking hammered. Yeah. And I just remember waking up in the living room being like, what happened? Oh, I must have got knocked the fuck out.
You guys
and Mama B was making sandwiches.
Oh, she was pissed. Yeah. But when it all did, it was all for a reason. And then interestingly enough, when you leave a band, right, and that band is going to continue, you're always curious, who's going to replace me? Right. And it was two of the baddest drummers I know. Yeah. You had a drummer, I don't know if you guys want me to say it or not, but for a minute there it was
Nick came in.
It was Nick Rich.
Oh yeah, I forgot about him.
Buddy
That's
Rich's
right.
grandson.
Buddy Rich's grandson. Yeah,
and
that's
so
right.
I'm like, it took.
He
Buddy
came first before Corky.
He did.
Fuck, I forgot about
and
that.
then
That's right.
and Corky was one of my favorite drummers in town. I knew Corky for a long time prior. I think I even suggested him to these guys.
Yeah, you actually did.
I was like, yo, you want the baddest dude in town.
Yeah.
But Nick Rich came in. So to replace me, it took Buddy Rich's grandson and then one of the other baddest dudes in town. I was like, okay, that's cool.
Yeah.
Or at least that's
Like,
an asshole.
you know, like if they replace you with somebody shitty, you're like, was I that bad? But that's all it took
just
to
happened?
replace me?
Right.
Fuck. Gotta reevaluate my life. But it was two badasses. I mean, as
Yeah.
far as skill wise, just top of the fucking food chain drummers.
Well, Corky was doing Blue Man Group at that time too, right?
Right, right.
Yeah.
He was playing with some other band too. Ian Shane Tyler.
He was doing a bunch
like
of
that.
cover stuff around town too with Austin and
Right.
a lot of my former band members.
Yeah, yeah.
So I'd go out and see him playing these gigs, and dude, he was good. He was,
Yeah,
you know,
masterful.
to me, I was
Solid,
just like, damn, I fucking suck. You know, he was a master, and so that was like the one thing that made me feel all right about it. Was like, well, they're in good hands.
Yeah.
All right, cool, man.
It started getting because we went and met with Kevin Churko, like as we were like local
Lighthouse, yeah.
and like it was
we need to talk about.
it
all
was
of that.
awesome that the band was really big when Dave was in the band. You know, when we talk about, dude, Imagine Dragons used to open for us. That's when Dave McMahan
Was in the band.
drummer.
He's in the photo
He was,
shoots.
you know, and
Right.
and then it just got more opportunities were coming up, and it was like, holy crap! With the Lighthouse, the OG version of Lighthouse, which we will be dropping.
I think
sooner
the
than
OG
later.
version was way better. Than
Oh,
the
dude,
We all
Everybody
are in
does.
there.
You
I
know?
remember hearing that for the first time. Your guys' re-recording of it.
And you're like, what the fuck?
that
right?
probably was like,
Well,
what
part
the-
of me, my tail wagged a little bit. I was just like, it's better.
Yeah, we were pretty pissed off about that.
It got linear, right? In my personal opinion, the song got a little too linear for what it was. Like I did an offbeat thing on purpose in that chorus to kind of give this kind of drop feel to it, and that went away. And I was just like, that was the signature.
Yeah.
It got a little flat.
Yeah.
It did. In my opinion. I mean, I know you guys put work into it, but to hear that you guys are going to be bringing back that stuff.
Yeah.
The SKOA. I heard you.
Yeah.
acronym that.
It's almost a 15-year anniversary for that.
DM talking about SKOA. Yeah, that I still am so proud of that EP. It was a lot of heart and soul into that thing. We were grinding to get those songs out, and we grew so much in the time of just even making those and recording those, and to know that. I'm so glad you made the mistake and missed the cut off on whatever fucking click of whatever you needed to do for it to be released. No, like whatever the
the click, yeah,
whatever it took for it to be renewed,
dropped
on
off
it.
of CD Baby or whatever.
Whatever.
Yeah.
I'm like, well, shit happens for a reason, man.
Yeah, we
and
talked about that. Yeah.
and I think it's a very, very. I'm stoked, dude. I'm super stoked for people to hear that because you can only find that shit on YouTube.
Yeah, on
That's
YouTube,
right. I
know,
and
and
when
it's-
we
and the-
went on Mayhem,
Right.
we had the demos.
Right.
So there's a small
still have
pocket
one.
of people, yeah. And you were on the cover, Danny Roberts. It was like, dude.
Oh yeah, the artist Danny, the guy who designed the Phoenix
Right.
logo for
Fred
us.
Morley
This
took the
this fucking
photo
amazing
in his
artist.
living room,
Yep,
remember? And
yep.
then
So this is a crazy story about that is, so I went to this art exhibit at
Arts
Tao.
District, right?
At
Tao.
It was at Tao, and it was Danny Roberts.
yeah.
He was exhibiting his stuff, and I'm like,
I never knew how you met him.
and I go,
Yeah,
and I'm like,
yeah.
dude, I'm like, look at this guy's art. I'm like, dude, this is fucking
So
amazing.
good.
Like,
Yeah.
and then I meet him.
Dude's
and,
amazing.
And we start talking. He's like, well, like, what do you do? I'm like, oh, well, I sing for a band called Otherwise. And he's like, he pulled his phone out, and he's got Shapes of Metal on his fucking MySpace profile.
Oh, like his profile.
Yeah, like,
like,
that
dude,
was
you're
his
in my top
profile
8.
song, dude. Like that, right? And I'm like, are you serious? Right? He's like, bro, you're the singer for that band. I'm like, yes, man. Like, that's us. That's me. That's what we do. And he's like, bro, how can I help? And he designed
Yeah.
the
cover.
Phoenix.
He designed the
yeah,
Phoenix.
he made the
logo,
Phoenix.
like
Okay.
the wide
Yeah, so
Phoenix that
that-
we use to
Nice.
this day.
That album
we use to this
was
day.
that album was the creation of the Phoenix during Danny's creation of the cover and all that stuff, and the Phoenix became a thing. And then you remember he cut the huge metal one.
Yeah, dude, Snyder
Snyder.
cut that. It's,
Yeah, Snyder
it's still
cut the sheet
hanging,
metal.
dude. I was
We
looking at
still
that
have
thing
it
today
hanging, dude.
in my parent.
I was always like, man, that's gonna kill somebody one day.
Yeah.
That's gonna fall on somebody or
We
Take off a leg.
at least one limb.
We started
right?
banging it when we were playing with Steel Panther at GVR. And I look back at pictures, I'm like, dude, what were we
thinking?
If just one of the things would have come off.
Right. We're like, no, a master rigger did it.
Decapitate.
Yeah.
That's duct tape, man.
There goes the drummer's arms.
Oh my god.
He's got good feet. That time was, and watching you guys, because even though I wasn't in the band, I've watched what you guys have been doing, right? Because I still got pride in seeing what you guys. I mean, I've loved you. I love you guys, man, and your family means so much to me. And so to watch what you guys have gone through, we've run into each other X amount of times around town and whatever else is. And to see the Phoenix still like part of it in one, version or another in the evolution of it.
Did you know how many
super
people
cool.
have that tatted on them around the country now?
Well, Alan was the first, I believe.
Alan,
No,
Duncan,
baby. I remember
Duncan.
I have a picture of it where we're all pointing at his arm and it's still all like greased up and fucking swollen.
Lifted up.
He's like,
So, okay, speaking of acronyms, and I do need to PISS pretty quick.
dude, MEETOO.
So if we could
Is
take
that code word for what? I'm not understanding. What do you guys
what is
need?
it? That's what
what are you talking about?
You guys are
Hashtag me too.
spelling.
I got a feeling And We're Back is coming soon.
Okay. If we take a
do
five
it.
real quick,
Fiver.
let's come back and we'll talk about Duncan and the Phoenix
And his dad.
and Chill on the Hill.
Yes, the Saving Abel show.
All right, we'll be right back. So I think, and we're back.
And we're back. All right. Coming up next, guys.
Hello, fine folks, and
Kenny on
thank you for
stage,
coming.
Kenny on deck, Kenny on stage. So let's hear it, guys. Come on. Let's go see some greenery on that scenery. Sorry.
Oh man,
We're terrible people.
we did have a lot of laughs while Dave.
That was one of the things that I'm with as many guys as we've had through the ranks, right? When you like really connect with somebody on like a personal level, and you feel like somebody is genuinely like. Because look, man, right? You know how we grew up. You like all your best friends are my fucking best friends. All my best friends are your best friends, right? So when you meet a guy who's like kind of coming into that world, and then it's like, dude, this guy's my fucking best friend. Like
And we're gonna have that guy on the podcast next week. So Dave, how have you been, by the way?
it's good to see you, man. Dude,
I'm so
drive home safe, bro. Drive home safe, dude.
bro. I can't wait to watch that. That's gonna suck.
Yeah, it is true though.
But
That is true.
that kind of goes back to what I was saying. Like part of the reason that I stayed in it and like put my whole heart into it is because I felt that same way. It was you guys. It was that camaraderie. It was the brotherhood in this whole thing. Your parents became de facto parents to myself.
Yeah.
And it was no man left behind mentality, right? And it was just like, oh, that's nice. That's great. You guys weren't out for yourselves. It was like, oh no, you're either all in or you're not.
Yeah.
Well, and there's just something that's around everything that is this band that has a greater value to it, and I think everybody is still trying to figure out what that greater value is, but there is this greater value to this thing, and it still hasn't reached that.
Well, you ain't done yet.
Exactly.
You ain't done yet.
Where's the spoon?
See the spoon. I think. I mean, it would not be continuing if there wasn't. Right. There is something else to what you were in it before him, but it became a thing when it became you two. Right. I hate keeping to bring up Brotherwise, but it really was that you can never beat sibling dynamic and connection. And so you guys always have had, once again, back to being killers and lovers at the same time, right? You guys always were jocks that then are, trained and were fighters, but your passion, because of I want to say your mom is just a beautifully soft, beautiful, she brings so much love to the world that you get that from her. And then there's your dad who's like, cut their head off. And you're like, yes, but we will bury it. There's that kind of gives that dynamic of the yin and the yang, you know what I'm saying? You have to have both. You have to have a little bit of that in each. And
don't make me cry.
Dude,
Right,
it's
manhole.
but it's good for ratings. So should we keep going? I want to see you cry. No, I think that, like you said, John, that there is something, and that's what makes. If you were able to figure out what it was, it wouldn't be a thing.
Yeah.
That's the point of it,
Yeah, that's
right?
right,
I don't know what
yeah.
it is, but it's fucking there.
It's there.
Yeah.
And we're gonna do everything we can to keep, trying to grab that smoke in the air and or at least waft it into this area to see if we can get it to come
Well, it's funny
true.
because anybody that I ever introduced to these guys comes into the same sense that we're all in right now, right? I brought Steele in. Steele does a lot of videography for us, right?
Okay.
I mean, he's a master in his own
Insane,
mind
yeah.
at that stuff, right?
Okay.
And so we did this show at 29 Palms, about a month ago.
Yeah.
And
Saw some stuff
Steele
from
comes in to record all of this stuff, right? Doing a lot of excerpts for Life by Music, and
I'm gonna show
to
you
put
the video
together
after
all
this.
this
It's
all this
freaking
great
awesome.
stuff, which is great. He did a great job, right? But by the end of the night, where was that dude at, right? He's like, man, you do that. We were up till 4 o'clock in the morning hanging with Steele, and Steele's going through all the video, and then we start going through music, and Steele writes music too, and he has a couple of songs, and he's playing songs for Adrian, and they both have the same song with the same damn name. What was the same song with the same damn name? And I'm like, you wrote a song with the same name? He's like, yeah, I did write a song with that name. And I'm like,
what
check
was
this
that?
out, and I had to pull it
Weird.
up. Same damn song name, right?
cool.
And it's just like, dude, these guys are one of the best bands, man.
Who were you playing
know?
with at that show?
Jimmy Eat World. A matter of fact, their
it's
guitar
one of
is
my
sitting right
favorite
behind
bands.
your
It was
head
so
there.
dope.
They signed that guitar
They
for
did.
us,
Yeah, they
which
signed it for
is
us
just awesome.
Dude,
So thanks, Jimmy
they
Eat
are-
World, for doing that.
They are so fucking good live.
Dude.
Yeah.
So me and my
Amazing,
daughter
man.
went to. You're gonna hate this, and you're gonna hear why. in a
Imagine
second.
Dragons or what?
No.
Imagine Dragons.
No.
That's the
So
theme
it was
of
at
this
it was
show.
at the Pearl, and it was one of the first shows in a minute that me and my daughter had gone to, just me and her, and they were opening for Third Eye Blind. Oh yeah, I know you're gonna hate me in a second. They were so good. Jimmy Eat World was hitting every hook you love, not embellishing on it, not like I'm gonna change this verse vocal up to be my thing. No, they were hitting it like you know it. Live, you could tell no tracks. They were so fucking
On
good.
it.
Crowd
There
was
were
going
probably tracks. There was probably some
But
tracks.
to the point where you could tell they had enough musicians on stage that somebody was playing it. It wasn't like,
Yeah.
where's the horns coming from? It wasn't like that. Right?
Where's that
You're like,
saxophone
I
solo?
see no one shaking a tambourine right now.
Right.
None of that. It was,
So you were there with your girl.
was there. And then Third Eye Blind came out. And I know you guys are all about them, right?
And they were horrible.
Dude, but I can tell you why. First off, I mean, I'm not some huge big fan of them. I don't hate them. They come out, and I know some of the folks that work the production there, and I knew how absolutely rude they were being to everyone in the backstage.
Wow.
We've heard
you
that.
want some skinny on them? Want some skinny on them? They didn't want to wear backstage passes, so they put a picture of themselves up around the backstage and said, "If you see this face, you let him through any door."
Well, okay.
Hold on.
That is very egotistical, but we've seen that,
That happens a lot.
several times.
And I don't
dude.
like those guys either. But no, but besides that, and that was something I heard later on. He comes out and there's a black and white, the video behind him is only playing black and white. He's wearing a hood. He sounded like crap. The
Yeah.
band was just weak. And me and my daughter are sitting there and we're like, okay, step out from that ledge, my friend. And we're watching him and we just can't get into it. And my daughter looks at me and I look at her and I go, oh, okay. So we wait another song. And he on purpose, I found this out later, said no color on that screen. They kept it all black and white, which is a terrible thing because if you know anything about the way the mind works, the blue diode and the red diode, LED diodes, you get the most dopamine drop in your brain when you see your screen and why do you think Facebook's blue? Why do you think Yelp is red?
Right.
You get the biggest drop in your brain from that shot. So by keeping it black and white, you're already making people go, oh, I don't know if I like this. It's just how it works. And so it was, and they didn't sound good.
That's crazy. They
So
did
me
that
and-
the other weekend.
Me and my
too,
daughter went
at
like
Fountain
this,
Blue.
and
Was
we were
it?
like,
Yeah.
you want to go? And she was like, yeah, this sucks. And we left. 3, 4, 5 songs in, because it was just like, and we had just coming down off this high of Jimmy Eat World. I'm a huge Jimmy Eat World fan, and so is my daughter. So it was like they just murdered it opening, and then it was like,
That happened. This was many, many years ago when Kid Rock first came out and on the scene, and he was playing at the Hard Rock, and he was opening for Monster Magnet. And nobody had ever heard of him before. I think he had just released his
Monster Magnet, bro.
His first single. And we're going to the show to go see Monster Magnet because Monster Magnet had that big single. I can't remember what it was, but
yeah, I don't remember.
Kid Rock.
They had the one big hit, yeah.
Yeah, they had one big hit, yeah. But Kid Rock came out, and I mean, he played 10 songs. Every single song that he played, he was on a different instrument. Right, even got behind the drums, was playing behind the drums, and I'm just like, this dude is fucking on fire. And then he had Little Joe C, and Little Joe C was badass.
Those days,
and the little lady that was also part of the band too.
What's his real last name? Bob. What's Kid Rock's real name? It's
I
Bob.
can't remember.
Bob.
It's
a funny last name.
It's a funny last name.
It's not as cool as Kid Rock, but
yeah.
But he's good. He's like best friends with Kevin, the owner of the Machine Shop.
Oh, okay.
And which
Kevin Zink.
Dude, we played Machine Shop.
I know.
And
that's
Clockwise on tour. That was one of our offshoot.
Right.
Like
We
in
got
between
the book
shows.
is right. The book is right up here.
I think I still have a hoodie. This is 2002 Machine Shop.
Okay,
when they
so
first
you got
opened.
that's probably worth something.
And we were
D-Mac.
playing-
Robert James Ritchie.
We were playing.
Yeah, that's
Bob
right,
Ritchie.
Bob
Ritchie.
Yeah. So Kevin Zink,
Oh,
the owner
shit.
of the Machine
So
Shop.
this
follow-
has
I
so
follow
many
them on-
bands. This has so many bands in.
I want to play.
Any band that you can imagine that played the Machine Shop is
There's
probably in there.
there's a pop
You
people guys, bro.
might be in there.
Is that Matt? Dude, look at Matt just being all
Maybe,
naked.
dude. Yeah, we
Fucking
were.
weird,
right?
So it was 2002 when we played there, and it was with. Keep wanting to say Dredge, but it wasn't. It was.
Edge.
I'm gonna
Was
forget.
it like Kitty
We
or
managed
something, bro?
one of the.
Did you play with
a
Kitty,
band
bro?
That, the guitarist.
Oh,
from
you know
Dredge
what?
was
One
in,
of the times we played was with Kitty there, when we were on the Kitty tour.
Nice.
And then,
Yeah.
but another one was one of those in between cities ones, and you're like, you're in Flint. You're like, hey, dude, don't drink the water,
Yeah, dude. But
it's
go
02.
to the Machine Shop,
dude.
Yeah,
but
like-
the Machine Shop was just opened. It was new-ish at that in 02. It wasn't like a big. It was, but it wasn't, right?
Right.
And because we had played Detroit at a place called Harpo's, bro.
Harpo's, was that the one with the? No, that was with the clown outside of.
What? With the clown? Peabody's. Are you talking about Peabody's in Ohio?
No, Peabody's.
You played there too, didn't you? You played at Peabody's.
Sounds familiar, bro.
Yeah.
You don't know what city you're in. You don't even know what the date is. I remember learning that on the Alice Cooper tour. Because it was the first time I ever saw on someone's monitor, it is Thursday and you are in.
And you are
Every show.
and you are here.
in Detroit. Or,
Right.
and I remember being like, that's weird.
Like,
3-4 weeks
makes
in, you're
sense
like,
Thank you, Las Vegas.
yeah, but
I'm
like,
sure
but
in
3-4 weeks
fucking
in,
Tennessee,
you
right?
are like, what fucking day is it?
Yeah, like where am I? Like,
Wait, we're in Toledo? Or are we in Canton? I think. Oh, fuck, we're in Jersey.
I was reading, one of my daughter's favorite songs. They just went to see Cage the Elephant, and one of their biggest hits is about the fact that he's been on tour, for 5 years straight, and walks into his house after tour and decides to start decorating each one of the rooms. And the song is about him sitting in these rooms and not realizing or understanding what he should even do with himself because this is like an abnormal situation for him,
Tour
right?
became life.
Yeah.
I mean, that grind, living out of a suitcase, any humans will adapt to anything if they have enough fortitude, right? And it goes from being a grind to just what you do. So I can totally understand that. It's not like I toured so much that I was 5 years or anything, but I got to that point at least where you understand, and you guys have been out on the road enough too to understand where it's like you just get in tour mode.
Well, I've gone on a couple of them with these guys, Benders, and I've had to have them drop me off at the fucking airport. It's like, dude, just drop me off, bro. I'm good.
I'm done,
Thanks.
bro. I'm good.
4 days in, I'm good.
I'm gonna meet you in the next city, 6 of them from now. Yeah.
No, it's
but also it's you're with maniacs,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
You were like when
Stealing golf carts. Yeah.
Oh, bro, there's stories. I got stories I will never tell.
Yeah.
Not just on here, to anyone.
Like ever.
Like, hey, man, because I like being
Going to the
outside of
grave.
jail. I'm really cool outside
Going
of
to the
jail.
grave.
Yeah, I mean, it was like me. I'm sometimes.
it's a
Plausible
whole different,
deniability, bro.
I
it
look
is
around, I'm
really
like,
a whole
I'm so glad you're
different,
still here.
It's a whole different atmosphere when you're on the backside of these shows, right? The backside of the festivals.
Yeah.
And all the other avenues of things that are going on.
Yeah.
It's insane.
Dude, go back to the Phatter Than Albert times, when we were on our come up, it was the very first Our Big concert that Extreme Radio was putting on.
OBC.
It was the OBC, and it was the
OBC,
first one
baby.
at the Silver Bowl.
Yeah.
Not Sam Boyd. Was it?
No,
That's
it was
Sam
Silver
Boyd,
Bowl.
Yeah, but they had a different
It
name.
was Silver Bowl.
Yeah.
It was.
Regardless, and it was when they did everything on the inside, and so because we were doing so well local scene wise, we were the last of all the local bands. So we're playing at 3 in the afternoon. Started at 11 a.m. We're playing 3, but by then it's filling in, and so the floor of Silver Bowl is full, and now the seats are going. Biggest crowd I ever played for, and it was the first time I ever heard not the sound of clapping, but that sound, the clapping goes away, it turns into that thing
right now.
And I'm sitting there and I'm like, oh my God, I walk out and you hear that and I get on stage and, as the drummer, most sets, I get to go,
Boom.
right?
Yeah.
So I'm like, I don't want to do it yet. I don't want to do it yet. I don't want to do it yet. Right? And we go. And I'm like, I'm so fucking scared. I think I peed a little. Yeah. And 3 seconds into the song, you're right into it. Now you're playing and everything's good, right? But that's where, to come back to the Vern Troyer, I'm sitting there playing this fucking Silver Bowl, just in my mind going, remember this, right?
Snapshot.
And I look over and Mini-Me is on our side stage holding the hand of 2 6-foot blondes. Just jamming out to my
Living his
band.
best life.
And I'm like, oh my God, is Mini-Me fucking rocking out to my beat right now? And dude, I mean, it's one of those moments. And he's this little dude, he's going nuts. And I'm like, okay, I can't wait to talk to this guy after. Oh, he was long gone. By the time we got done, he was not around anywhere. Because this was STP was playing, Cypress Hill was playing, System of a Down was playing with us.
I was at that OBC.
Right, and you say the backside of these festivals.
Yeah.
So that was the biggest, thing we'd ever played. Well, they were using the locker rooms as the green rooms.
Yeah,
right there.
Where the Rebels played at.
Correct.
At Silver
And
Bowl.
so that team locker rooms were just pipe and draped to separate the bands, whatnot. I remember being like, oh my God, we're hanging out with the actual musicians. We're like just the little local band, whatever, right? And it was that first dose for myself of seeing the backside of a big festival. We had done, what was the punk rock festival from back in the day?
Extreme Thing.
Extreme Thing.
No, not Extreme Thing.
We had done Extreme
the original,
Thing, though.
one that toured all over the country. That was
not Lollapalooza, but there was another one. There was another
very
one.
punk rock
Damn it.
based.
Yeah.
So I remember playing that,
Yeah.
but you still didn't really get this because it was so spread out.
Right.
But that Silver Bowl
Warped
show.
Tour.
Warped Tour. Yes,
Yeah.
thank you.
Okay, you did
Yeah.
that with Clockwise.
Yes.
But okay, so we did Extreme Thing as Otherwise.
Yes.
Remember that?
right.
Yeah, and
we came
Alien
out to
Ant
the
Farm.
fucking bagpipes.
Yeah.
Remember? And Cuzzo was with us. There's
Yep.
a video. We're sitting in the back. We're sitting in the back of somebody's pickup truck.
Doing shotgun and
Doing
beers.
fucking I don't know. We're just getting
Do
shitty.
you remember Alien Ant Farm was playing with us after us? And what was it? Glassjaw played right before us. Then we played, and then
We
Alien
played
Ant Farm.
after Glassjaw.
We did,
There's some crazy
and then
scheduling, man.
I
Because
remember
we had won that Extreme Thing battle.
Right.
and the drummer for Alien Ant Farm had just gotten a brand new kit from DW. It was fucking beautiful, dude. It was sitting right back side stage, and Kaz, he's sitting there, and I'm like, bro, that is gorgeous. And I was a DW player, and he was
Right.
like, thanks, man, I just got it, dude. And he goes, check this, boom, boom, and he goes through the toms, and I was just like, it was the best sounding kit.
Sounded
and
fucking
he is
perfect.
to this day one of the baddest drummers out there. That dude is so good. The drummer for Alien Ant Farm, top notch, best player out there, just about. He's so fucking good. And I knew that at this time, and I was a big fan. I just remember seeing his drum set being like fanboy McGee, just like, oh, you're so cool.
Mm-hmm.
This is a really nice drum set, bro. And
Can I touch it?
but they were so cool, and
I'm gonna put my paws on your drum
dude.
set.
It was just after that dude got in the car. They got in the car accident, and he broke his neck.
Oh yeah.
The singer. It was
After
just
that show?
right after that
Shortly
show.
after.
Yep, and then they were like off tour for a while.
Yeah.
I remember that being
Wow,
like so
shit.
bummed. I was like, dude, he just got a new drum set.
What's he gonna do with that thing? I wonder if he wants to sell it.
Fuck, he was like, yeah, because it was free anyways. DW
Right.
sponsored. But Extreme Thing, which was a Saliba thing.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
that was
we got to
Saliba.
have Saliba on the show
Yeah,
too.
yeah.
I mean, Saliba's like the master of ceremonies when it comes to concerts in Vegas. You know.
Yeah, he's
done a lot. You know,
he sure has.
There's a reason why when Imagine Dragons headlined Allegiant Stadium, you know, they're thanking Brian Saliba
Exactly.
to 40,000 people. You know,
Yeah.
the biggest show
there's definitely
ever.
a reason for that.
And we have all our thanks to him too. You know, he's been there. He still is. You know, he's
And
helping with Life by Music. Like he's what is it, like the silent guy in the background, just making moves.
Silent partner.
Oh, I mean, I work with him for stuff for the city still, you know. I mean, a lot of the LED video walls that are for the city come from Structure.
Yeah, he's helped me out on like even outside of music stuff. Just my relationship with him when I was working at the wind tunnel, he would put on Sunset Park stuff, and he would hook me up with getting a tent or like a booth and things for the Taco Fest or whatever else it was, and there'd be live music going on too, just kind of still be involved with that guy. And that's part of this town, though, right? It's like
It is. I got a guy. I know a guy.
Yeah.
dude. You can be the smartest dude in the world if you don't know anybody. You ain't.
Yeah.
But
He ain't going nowhere.
But it's got to be good guys, man.
You have to be
And, you know,
genuine and follow through.
This is a perfect example of that. Okay, this man
You gotta be
here
good with the
is a
steel.
fucking proprietor.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He's a what is the term? Proprietor of the arts or
Patron.
patron of the arts, right? When we were coming up together, the three of us, there was guys like Saliba, there was guys like Elvis Basquette who were
Ducky and Dylan and
Dylan and Hornsby and like just good dudes, bro. Because Las Vegas is Sin City, right? So a lot of people think, and for good reason, a lot of shitty people in a town like this. But if you're able to surround yourselves with like quality fucking souls, maybe you're not a piece of shit yourself.
Do you remember what we did to Dylan?
You remember what?
What we did to Dylan? It was at Diablo's. We had dinner with him, and he was wanting to work with us. And it was just before we got with Elvis, and he was going to come with a partnership with us. And you guys put it on me to mess with him. We were going to do it, but you were like, "Hey, dude, tell him we're not gonna." And so we sat him down.
I remember going to Dylan.
We sat him down at dinner
at Diablo's.
But he
on the
sits
bottom
down,
floor.
Yep. And he sits down, and I look at him, and I go, "We're not going to do it, bro." And he's like, "What do you mean? Well, why?" And I go, "Because I just don't like you." And he just kept a straight face, and he's like, "But why?" And I'm like,
But what did I do?
and I look at him, and I just couldn't. I was like, "I'm just fucking with you, bro. We love you, dude. We're totally doing this." But at first, we were like, "We're not doing it, bro."
He did, you know,
But he
he
was like
did
that
have that. He did have a little bit of that gullible sense
He was-
to
he
it,
did, he
you
really
know?
did.
But
But
because
why?
he was
What did I
genuine.
do? What
It was
did
I
because
didn't
he
even
was
know
genuine,
why
yeah.
I was going to say why. He was just like, "Why?" I was like, "Because I don't like you."
We pulled a lot of pranks.
I was like, me and him used to go to Fuel shows. That was me and him's thing. Was whenever Fuel came to town, you know, whether it was at Aliante or
Or fucking Giant Saloon.
Right? No, it was like Silverton. That was me and Dylan's thing. Was like, "Hey man, let's go. We're gonna go see Fuel. Just me and him. Right? It wasn't a bunch of other people, and it was kind of like our thing. I don't know why Fuel became thing.
Yeah.
Because they were, you know, it's like they're not the Fuel that we knew. You know, another weird story about coming back to Austin and Fuel. Me and my buddy Jeff Higginbotham went
So
with.
I know Jeff.
One of
Yeah.
my best friends, man.
So one of my best friends is
YourLocalScene.com.
really good friends with Jeff. So
Okay.
my friend Jake is really good friends with Jeff.
Okay.
And so we know from the days of Donkey Punch and
Dude,
all
I am
that stuff going
famous
back.
enough Get some.
Oh,
Right?
he used to wear the fucking donkey punch shit,
yeah.
dude.
That was my jam. I've always supported. He's my best friend, man. And
Jeff's a good dude.
I almost
He's a
wore an
good
I'm
dude.
famous enough shirt. I'mFamousEnough.com.
He's still over doing the Stony stuff, right?
He is no longer at Stoney's.
Oh, wow. That is a huge change.
He left Stoney's and news coming soon on
All
him.
right.
There's some really, really cool stuff coming on the
Very
pipe for
interesting.
Jeff.
I mean, he
that's
was there almost 10 years at least, right?
plus, and
yeah.
he's about to be doing what he's supposed to do, and I can't be more proud of the guy.
Nice.
That's great.
Fucking lost my train of thought now. I was saying,
Threw you off.
Austin
That's
and
what
Fuel.
I do here.
Oh, so Austin tried out for Fuel when Homeboy
really?
left, and me and Jeff went with Austin to L.A. to a studio, and the drummer from Godsmack just stepped in and was playing. So me and Jeff sat in the room while I watched my former singer singing, hemorrhage, hemorrhage in my hand and all that stuff, like with Fuel. And me and Jeff are sitting there watching. It was so almost
That would've been
surreal
good. That would've
to
been
watch Fuel playing Fuel with Austin singing it.
Right.
And he did. He
and
nailed
Austin
it.
fucking probably nailed it.
He nailed it. But,
yeah.
You have to also look the part.
Yeah.
And I always used to be
Well, like you said,
I always
E.T.
used to make the joke, I was
looking
like, well, he
motherfucker.
looked like Will
Like-
Wheaton and E.T. had a kid, right? And so
Nobody knows who Will Wheaton is, bro.
I know who Will Wheaton is. We're talking Wonder Years,
We're
baby.
and Star Trek,
Fucking
bro.
Star Trek, bro.
Yeah,
How do you know?
Star Trek,
I
yeah.
have no idea what you guys
My
are
brother's
talking
like, I'm
about.
way too young for that.
Because you were 11.
You were 17.
But that was always the thing. It was like the guy had the voice of just and still does, but bigger than himself. But that was such a cool, weird thing. And me and Jeff being allowed to be in that studio while that audition was going down was really weird. Another kind of like the underside of the industry, right? Where you're watching these guys go through it and you're like, well, how many singers have come through here today and done these same songs or whatever? And I was biased as fuck because I'm like, that dude's good.
Yeah.
That dude's really good. But that was a really interesting one. And Jeff, to this day, still has his hands in music. He is all about new artists. Very much on the country level.
He's bringing big country acts to little places like Stoney's, and they're doing, acoustic gigs before they go out and do their big shows.
selling 1,000 tickets for artists that people don't even know.
Yeah.
But he is such a marketing, guru
He's
on
always
that.
been
he
that guy. I
does.
mean,
He's always been
your local scene. Remember that
Played
website?
all those. I played all those shows. His
Those
last. So what was cool also about Jeff is the yourlocalmusicscene.com shows at House of Blues.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
His last show as a promoter / booking agent, whatever he was, at the time he was kind of all of it.
Yeah.
Was a House of Blues, your local music scene show.
Mm-hmm.
And then when the Phatter Than Clockwise show happened at the Space, I was very adamant on, you need to introduce us. So Jeff, I don't know if you can go on YouTube and look up Phatter Than
I
Clockwise
want to see
reunion.
the goddamn the footage of this, man. 'Cause
Go to-
I was so heartbroken that I couldn't be
there's
here
this YouTube.com.
in town for it.
There's
There's a website called YouTube.
And I actually winged it. Like I had a buddy of mine that was a really good videographer, but I kind of had to produce it while we four-walled that whole show. And then I got a video friend and I was like, hey, I need you to put a camera at the soundboard and you're going to roam. And then we gathered everybody's cell phone footage, and me and Matt Brunig edited the whole video of that reunion show from everybody else's footage. We only had really 2 cameras plus everybody else's stuff, and then changing angles and doing what you got to do to make it look like there was so many cameras. There wasn't. But I was adamant on Jeff introducing us for the nostalgia side of one of the last shows we played. It was his show, and him saying, ladies and gentlemen, Clockwise.
Yeah.
And then he introduced us for the Phatter Than Clockwise show.
They don't realize either that we just have one camera in here. There's just one.
It's so cool though how Alex just jumps from place to place
I know,
to place
right?
to place. Dude, you're amazing, bro.
It's incredible, isn't it, Alex?
So
It's kind of distracting.
So all right, you just mentioned nostalgia, D-Mac, and you brought up a name, and not to turn this into a fucking another therapy session, right?
I hope you cry.
I might. I do have a tendency. My eyes sweat a lot.
Yeah.
When we're talking about the heart and soul.
Okay.
So Matt Brunig, okay, very talented engineer. Worked on Peace at All Costs with us as David Bottrell. Now David Bottrell is the guy who
Is Tool.
He's a Tool guy. Yeah.
That's my ultimate favorite band of all
he did
time.
Tool
so
and
Hello.
Tool
Dude,
and
Danny was
Moose.
my-
You're
like
listening
everything.
to Danny. Yeah.
I saw them open for Porno for Pyros at the Hunter's.
I met Maynard many years ago. So my former business partner in this business, right? This is a crazy story, and I'll side
Talking about
and then I'll jump back and sidebar. Yeah. So my business partner was in his 60s in this business, in structures business. And he calls me one day. He's in Sedona. And he calls me one day and he's like, "Hey, John, you're a rock guy, right? You like rock and roll?" And I'm like, "Yeah, Ray, of course,
like that
dude.
rock and roll
You like
music?
the rock and roll music, right?"
Do you like wine? How do you
And
like
he's
wine?
all, well, do you know a guy named Maynard James Keenan? And I'm like, fucking no, Ray, I don't.
You're like,
man.
you mean the guy that
Only
sang that-
my favorite fucking band of all time.
The guy that did
dude.
the one line on that Green Jello song?
Exactly. Right?
wow, dude.
That's old school shit right there.
Chin.
Yes. Dude,
So obscure. People are going to be like, the fuck are these dudes talking about?
What are you talking about?
You better educate yourself.
That's right. That's right.
song
That
about
was
a porcupine?
Yeah, bro.
Three Little Pigs, right?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought it was on
And
a
Danny was on
porcupine.
drums for that. That was when Danny was in Green Jello.
Yeah.
Yeah, massive Tool fan. What did he?
So-
what
so
was he? Because
he-
Sedona's Cottonwood's right there, and he's got all his.
So he's sitting there I'm having dinner with Maynard right now. And I'm like, what? You're having dinner with Maynard. This dude's 65 years old at the time.
He's like, I
And
don't
he's
even fucking
having
know who
dinner
this guy
with
is.
Maynard James Keenan. He's all, well, so my nephew has started a winery with him.
Yeah, it makes sense. He doesn't really kick it with people that know even about Tool. He kicks it with you if you like wine, and
Yeah.
if you're in that other, and if
Well,
you're an Arizona
Eric
person.
Glomsky, my business partner's name was Ray Glomsky.
Okay.
Eric Glomsky had a winery in Sedona.
You hooked us up. I went to it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
right.
Which, not to
And-
go into the wine thing, but you would never think of Arizona and wine until kind of Maynard put it on the map.
Well, actually, Eric Glomsky put it on the map. And in Eric Glomsky, one day, Maynard walked into Eric Glomsky's winery.
Wow.
And Eric Glomsky was so great and is so great at wine that he could literally feel and taste the dirt in Sedona. And he realized this is a place where we can grow wine.
Yeah.
And so he started a winery there. And from there, Maynard walked into his place.
Yeah.
Maynard said, "I want to learn how to make wine."
He's like,
Eric
being that
taught
this is
him
going
how
to be
make
Arizona
wine.
based
And there is,
sometime
by the
soon.
way, there is a Netflix movie about this called Blood into Wine.
I've watched it.
And
I don't remember the
and
Glomsky
Eric
part.
is-
I watched it so long ago.
Eric is like
just
the
went to his
main
Hilltop.
guy in there.
I just went to his Hilltop winery about a month and a half ago. I went and checked out his new
Eric's
joint.
Hilltop or
Maynard's.
or
The new one. They're in
Right.
Cottonwood.
Yeah,
the
they're
one
in
he just
Cottonwood,
opened,
yeah.
and all the vines are super new around it, but it's super cool.
Well,
Super
and he's
cool.
opening up like grocery stores now too.
Yeah, and he turned his osteria into a fried chicken place.
That's right.
And he took a bunch of the collective.
Because
Blood
wine
into
and fried
wine.
chicken
There
go
you go.
perfect.
But the cool
together,
part
dude.
is like he's
Yeah.
not just making it about his wine. Yeah.
Yeah.
And he's not just making it about h's wine too. It's called the something 8 or something, and it's a collective of those winemakers. And those are the wines that are being sold out of the chicken place and some other stuff. The guy is so freaking interesting.
Well, he did this. He did this collaboration with Eric called Arizona Stronghold.
Correct. I have
Right.
a bottle of the original signed by him and his original.
So you
winemaker.
must have went to Whole Foods then and to get the bottle signed.
No.
Okay.
It was given to me on my birthday by my best friend Kyle Campbell, who we were massive Tool fans. Like I said, I went and saw him open when they opened for Porno for Pyros. Nobody was talking about Porno for Pyros after that show at the Hundreds. Everybody was like, "Who the fuck was that band that just opened? And why is that singer so scary?" It was when he still had the mohawk.
Yep.
This was I'm sorry. Yes, Opiate. Only Opiate was out, and Undertow hadn't even dropped yet.
Okay.
And I
when
was
he
just
had that that long,
Correct,
like,
bro.
like the
mohawk.
Mohawk, but he also had
and it was a
the
mullet. It
tail
was a
that
mullet
went all
hawk.
the-
Yes, he had a mullet
it was
hawk.
yeah.
Yeah.
And so, like, from that point on, I was like, that's my band. I was a Tool guy through and through. I had a different Tool shirt for every day of the week. People in high school used to make fun of me because they were like, well,
I've still gone and
APC.
seen. Yeah, I've seen them. At
dude,
least 5 times. Not the most.
I just went to his. I just went to.
Well, these guys is the most.
I went to say Santa in Arizona, his 60th birthday show with Primus, Pussifer, and Perfect Circle.
Oh wow!
And it was so cool, bro, because they all stayed on stage the whole time. And they had this little lounge setups lifted up, all 3 drum sets set up, and they never left the stage. And then it would be like, okay, 3 songs by Primus, 3 songs by Pussifer, and then we're all playing together.
So cool.
But they're all chilling up there having drinks, watching the other ones play.
The other guys, jam out.
And then on each side of the stairs that led up to this little, on each side, lounges, they had those chairs you sit in that take you up the stairs for elderly people. And they were just sitting there riding them up and down the stairs while the show's going on. You got Tim Alexander being like,
love it.
it was super cool. But offshoot, yes, I love Tool too, bro. I knew I liked you.
Yeah.
I was like, I don't know how you guys aren't
Perfect
friends.
Circle myself.
I love
Yeah, I like
APC.
Perfect
I
Circle.
love APC.
Oh,
but
now you're abbreviating things, huh?
now
you're abbreviating, huh? Now it's okay to abbreviate, huh?
man, STFU, bro.
No, I mean, if you're looking at Perfect Circle, I'm looking at that band in a whole different perspective.
That's Billy
than I'm looking
Howardale.
at.
That is Billy Howardale's mind and Maynard's voice.
Yeah, and what
right?
was
Yeah.
Tool is a.
What was Howardale's side project called? Which was fucking amazing. He put out one album.
It's the. I always.
It
think
was one record.
that guy looks
and
like.
it was,
Voldemort and the so and so's. Because that motherfucker looks like Voldemort.
Oh shit! What is that album called, dude?
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
You know, like the Billy Howardale.
And
put
they
out-
played that downtown place we played one time too. That like right off of like 3rd Street. Remember you put the. You put the mic stand through the stage, and the dude got so mad and wanted to fight
Ashes
us.
Divide.
Ashes Divide.
Yeah, we were at the
dude.
Canyon Club.
The Canyon
But that was
Club.
Candy Club because
Yeah.
Hornsby
And I
Mark
almost-
Hornsby said he was like, "Fuck this place, they're not going to pay you."
Remember,
and
they
I was
weren't
like,
going to
"All
pay
right,
us.
bro.
No,
well,
no,
fuck
not
this
just
place,
that.
dude."
Not just that, but we got hammered before the show. We were like, we're walking up sloshed.
Yeah.
And then you, at one point in the middle of the set, threw the mic stand down, and it went through the stage.
I put it right through.
And he's like,
Hornsby-
"You're breaking my stage," and we were like, "Fuck your couch."
fuck your couch.
Buy a new one, you rich motherfucker.
They should have never gave y'all motherfuckers money.
Yes, but Ashes Divide played there at one point.
Ashes Divide. That album's killer, man.
I never got too into it, but Billy Howardale, amazing, and his A Perfect Circle stuff is so good. Like 3 Libras to this day is still one of my favorite songs in the entire world.
great song.
Like that still will bring a tear to my eye and a chill, just because there's just so much, I think, genuine nature to the flow of that song, the strings and the way it's written and the structure of it. I think is truly one of the most perfectly written songs. Is 3 Libras.
Yeah.
I was just talking to a buddy about the same thing, and all on the same page.
We stole
really,
a line from that.
Incredible.
From that song, we have a song called "Eyes of a Tragedy" because of 3 Libras.
Interesting.
Like he uses that line in the song, and then we turn that into a fucking song.
Fucking plagiarist.
With Matt
Fucking
Brunig.
hucksters, man.
You fucking hucksters.
With Matt Brunig. So before we get too emotional and therapeutic here, but
I'm not emotional at all.
Yeah.
well, I know you
Pretty
got the
stoic.
fucking great white shark eyes going right now, dude. I know that Johnny Biz in the house over here.
Pretty stoic.
Pretty stoic the whole time.
Yeah.
So Matt Brunig is this cat that we came up with cutting our first real experience working with a professional engineer.
Right, yeah.
When he was at Upfront? When we were doing the Upfront stuff?
No, first time we ever worked with him was at Platinum.
Oh.
First time.
Platinum Sound Labs.
And you came in to Platinum
Really?
and sat with me, and we were writing a song called Silence Reigns.
Okay.
With Ted.
With
Teddy.
Matt and Teddy Carrasco, and you helped me craft the pre-chorus of that song. And it was like a night you were just like coming through, and Matt's like, "Yeah, I'm gonna call. Yeah, McMahon's gonna come through and help you."
Well, first of all, tell us what Silence Reigns is about, because and how you came up with the song. Because my buddies that watch this podcast are like, "Dude, just can you tell Adrian to kind of like talk about his songs a little bit more? Because that stuff's so interesting."
It's so weird your friends sound like that.
They do. They always sound like this when they talk to me. It's weird.
Well, I mean, it's about a breakup. It's a breakup song.
Surprise.
Surprise. And Dave helped
Was it
me.
a true story? Did it come from a particular breakup or?
Yeah, my high school sweetheart, if you had to call it something, right? And Dave helped. He came in, and I don't even know if you remember this.
I don't.
Dude. We were at Platinum. You helped me craft the pre-chorus, where it's like, "It breaks me down. What's left of me?" Like, you helped me shape that melody, dude.
Don't even remember.
Yeah. So
There's a lot of music going on around then.
yeah. And you just like popped in and was like, "Yeah, I'm gonna fucking okay, sure." Like, let me sit with him for a second. So coming back to this cat, Matt.
Well, I remember you know, at one point telling when you were teaching some cats at the place, you were like, dance around the melody, right? Dance around the melody.
Yeah,
with the lyrics,
yeah. Like,
right? And I think that's a perfect example of dancing around the melody with the lyrics.
right. And like, you know, when you're first writing a song, which I'm sure everybody does it because I did it. But when you're first writing a song, you have this tendency to like make the melody go with the chord and like the notes that are building the chord, and you're basically like just singing the exact same scale of what
Which
you're
drives
playing.
me so crazy when I hear a singer doing that in a song when they're just following the guitar melody. I'm like, I hate you.
Right.
Yeah.
You lazy mother lover.
But then we got into this, you know, we started working with real dudes, and like my brother was like a real fucking guitar player, you know, like, and we started writing, I guess, what you could call real songs, right? And Matt Brunig was the guy who taught me how to write harmonies. I didn't even know what a fucking harmony was. I was like, well, this is the lead melody. What are you talking about? There's like another melody that you can sing over this? And I hours and hours with this cat at Platinum up front, which was with now the Tone Factory, right?
Vinny's spot.
Yeah, Vinny Castaldo's spot.
I've been there with.
my
I
point-
was there with Tony.
We rehearsed there for quite a while.
Good
Right,
place.
right.
It's a great place.
It's a great fucking room.
It was a
Great
recording
room.
It
studio
really
that
is.
also turned into our rehearsal studio for a long time.
Right, and like that main room is fucking amazing because
It's off of Highland, right?
the play. No, it's over by the. It's over
Hacienda.
by
Decatur and
Hacienda.
Hacienda area.
Okay.
right by the fucking Orleans. That's
Yes.
why
Yeah,
when you
that's
were
right. That's
when you
right.
were saying
Dude, we got Clockwise got their equipment robbed out of there.
Damn.
oh, shit.
It was Thanksgiving night. Sidebar. No, they knew no one would be there, and they went to the place next door.
When they broke in, I remember this thing.
Yeah,
this
so
thing.
they went to it's an industrial.
and they
park.
like came through the fucking wall or something.
Well, yeah,
right?
so you could see if you went to the other place where it was the next door one was a corner lot, which they were using for like limos and parking stuff because it was big enough to pull them all in. So they broke into that and they started trying to break in the wall, but they started back. If you remember, the studio was towards the back of the thing. Well, it's a studio
In
It's
the corner.
It's double walled.
Yeah.
You ain't getting through that. So you could see they just kept going down. They got all the way back to the front where the lobby of the place, which is the first door you walk
Single.
in, boop, and they got in through there and they came in. They stole Alfonso's bass. They stole our PA because we had our own like PA towers there. My drums weren't set up, but they were over in the corner set up. You know,
And
like
I'm sure, as a great band that you guys were, you had the insurance all set up for that, so you got it all replaced.
negative Ghost Rider. But they didn't touch my drums because they were set up. They weren't
Because
like,
you tell them motherfuckers, don't touch the fucking drums.
they fucking
Only
knew.
I.
They knew. I was
like,
like, you ain't
"Shit,
no tech.
if I steal this shit, I'm gonna have to set it up myself.
they took-
So I don't want. I ain't fucking around with this, man.
It was fucked up though. They took the board. They took everything from the control.
I remember that,
But I remember
man.
come in and everybody was like, "Oh, but they didn't touch your fucking drums, huh? Maybe
Are you the one?
dude?" And I was just like, and I'm like, "Bro, do you know how hard it is to carry these?" I wouldn't
Nobody
steal
wants
them
to
either.
touch that
It's like because they weren't in cases. They were
How much
like
shit
set
can
up
you
and just kind of
grab
put in
real
the
quick?
corner. Yeah, they were just like, "Nah, fuck that."
Yeah.
Yo, grab that guitar. And they did, like, Alfonso had a bass with his initials in it. He had a Warwick because we were all into 311 at the time, and he loved Peanuts Warwick, so he had a Warwick that was customized to him. Gone. There were so many things, and I remember up front, that was such a heartbreak for us because anytime, as you know, a band gets their gear stolen, It's a test of fortitude, man.
Yeah,
because when you lose,
that breaks up bands.
We had on tour. We had our bass player Sean Fitz got his fucking basses snagged in Austin, Texas, of all places. Like artistic, like liberal. We love music.
Pretty sure it was by a fake fan too.
Yeah.
It's like a guy who came to the show and like he's like, sing Darker Side of the Moon. Sing Darker Side of the Moon.
If you know it's him, go get that shit.
It's just a gut feeling.
It's a gut feel. Just, you could like kind of deduct the reasoning. Like,
but the upside of that is we actually had we have enough of a fan base now where like they crowdfunded us to buy him new fucking basses, right? Yeah, like which. Back in those days, nobody was doing that shit, dog.
Well, there wasn't a GoFundMe account.
No, it was go fund yourself.
Go fuck yourself
is what it is.
Good luck, bitch. We bounced back from it, but it was definitely one of those blows that happened that, because we were always so careful about, even on tour, it's like, the van and trailer are backed up to a wall, and
every time
we're triple locked, and all that stuff that you go through to try to secure your stuff. So to get it stolen out of the studio was just like, oh, what are you supposed to do?
How does this happen?
Right, and Thanksgiving night where they knew no one would be there type thing.
Right.
Just trash, man. But trash is going to be around no matter where you are. Locks are for honest people, right?
Yeah. Yep.
But Brunig at Upfront, you were saying when you were recording with him. What was it? Why are you so emotional about it?
Well, it's because it ties into something that you said to me, which is very poignant, and you may or may not remember this. It was a text conversation.
Okay.
So we worked with Brunig for many years. The guy fucking like literally volunteered time, right?
Yeah.
Like helped us cut. I mean, the original.
That guy is a saint.
So much time he gave to us.
So much. He's a fucking saint, right? I mean, like the original, the very first demo we ever cut of Won't Stop, we did that with Brunig, and that's like one of our fan favorite for us, right? And in the process of, okay, man, I'm sorry we weren't able to pay you enough. I'm sorry that we're not the big giant fucking millionaire rock stars that you deserve to work with, right? And I'd reached out to him a couple times, especially when I heard he became a father, right? And I wasn't hearing back from him. And then I reached out to you and I was like, hey man, D-Mac, have you heard from Brunig? Like I've hit him up a few times. He doesn't get back. I can see that he's reading my texts. This is still his number. You're like, yeah, this is still his number. I'm like, yeah, he doesn't respond. And I was like, well, fuck, man. Like, is he okay? Like, is it? And basically, I said to you, I was like, fuck, like, what can we do? Like, is there something I can do to like fix this? Do I need to fix something? Like, what? Like, and you were like, it was very poignant. I'm paraphrasing here, but you were like, hey, man, it was like you were like, you guys, you got to let him go if that's what he's wanting to do. Like, and you got to let it go too.
If you love somebody, if you love somebody,
but that
suffer in silence. You got to suffer in silence, bro.
I'm completely paraphrasing.
You're right, dude. I'm living in the past, within the shadows.
Wow, I wrote this song about this topic in the future, and I went back in the past and wrote it.
But I need to take my own advice.
Yeah, it was very.
Shit, I didn't even know what the lyrics of that song meant. Now I do.
I wrote that shit.
Nice.
Because dealing with it was about somebody that we cared about who had this huge
and I do
impact.
remember that exchange a little bit.
Right?
I don't remember like exactly saying that to you, but it sounds like something I would say. It does. I mean, I don't know. I remember you asking about him because I had seen him not too long prior to that. He's getting married here in like a week or two, something. By the way,
have you talked to him since? So
I haven't spoken to him in at least 5 years.
Wow. I mean, I remember he was helping you guys out, and I think it was right before Peace at All Costs.
No, he was
like
engineering.
Volcano and doing all those songs.
Yeah, and
right?
he engineered for David Bottrill on Peace at All Costs.
Dude,
Right.
you know what else he did? He engineered and produced was when we did that song with did the songs with John Lewis. Remember Matt was in studio for that.
That's
Oh, right, with JL, dude.
Yeah,
Fucking
and we did
J.
John's songs. We did the music
Porch
for
Light.
it. Porch Light. Yeah, leave that light on. And I remember being in that studio with him, and Matt was that was a weird one, right? Because it was like now I had worked with Matt, Phatter Than Albert. We did all our demos with him at Upfront, and he still had long hair and wore mom jeans, and you could see his package. We were like, bro, that's where Matt the package came from. Matt the dick. Matt the dick came
Fucking
from.
tripod,
He was like,
bro.
hey, bro, I can see your dick. You're fully clothed, but
I'm looking at mushrooms.
and bro, they're building them big in Wisconsin. And so it's like, man, cheese is good for you. And so in that time, in that time, bro, we recorded a lot of stuff with him, and then he toured with us as our sound guy.
Yeah.
During the Clockwise tour, he was our sound guy. Oh, bro, you want to hear a good Matt story? I was shaving my head on tour because I wasn't trying to do hair, play drums. I'm wearing a hat. I'm sweating, man. You just
Who
can't
gives a
do
fuck?
it.
Yeah.
And so I would shave my head, so I always had a shaver with me. And then Matt, he's out on tour, and he had cut his hair, and he's still trying to figure out what he's going to do with it. And then at one point, I convinced him. I was like, bro, let me shave the wild thing into your head. Remember Major League?
Yeah.
Absolutely, dude.
Yeah.
Right? So he let me shave these triangles into the back of his head. And he's our sound guy, right? Bro, girls start hitting on him.
He's
And
like, shit.
at first he's like, I can't believe I let you do that to me. Meh. And then he's running sound, and all of a sudden I see 3 girls around the soundboard, and he's like, hey, what's going on? Right? and so
Hey, man, you ever seen Major League?
Bro, the best part was, weekend, he's like, hey, bro, can you clean it up?
If we're going out, dude, I need you to hit this.
And I'm like, oh, pussy's amazing, huh? It's like, I remember that being like, from that point on, he trusted me in a different way. Even though at first I was like, hey, dude, can I shave that in your head real quick? That'd be fucking funny. It's something different. You're bored on tour sometimes.
I think Matt's disappointed.
The point of that whole little sidebar tangent is, we're sitting with you, somebody that we care about very deeply, and again, Brunig was one of those people, man. And even if I don't speak with him till the day one of us dies, like that will never change. And
Sure.
And I feel, and this is where I think maybe it's my ego, but this is where I feel my brother and I differ in a sense with all these people in the music business industry, where I don't really know if that is how they operate. Like, do they have, like this level of like love and loyalty? I don't feel like it exists because we haven't really experienced that.
Well, I mean, this is the thing. It's like you're in town here now, right? And it's like we don't miss a beat, right?
Right.
And I think that if Matt Brunig was sitting outside there, you guys wouldn't miss a beat either.
I agree.
I think that everybody has really busy lives, and everybody's kind of doing their own thing. And I'm not sure about the text, and I'm not giving Matt any defense on his end, but it's just there's a lot of people that I don't have time to like contact back right away, right? And then that text message ends up like 50 texts in the bottom. And sometimes I go back and I'll like thumb through and like flip through and like, oh shit, that's right. I was supposed to, and I haven't talked to that person in forever, right? And I hit him up and I'm like, I'm so sorry that.
it's wild how that
how are you
happens
doing?
more
How are
and more.
things?
But but if you
It
give that
does,
genuine,
because-
like, oh my God, bro, I'm so sorry. I am just reading this now. I know it's been X amount of time.
Exactly.
But if it's a true love with that person, they're gonna be like, dude, it's all good. What's up?
It's all good. Yeah. It's like it's
Hey,
like
how's
we
how's
saw each
family?
other yesterday and now it's today.
And if it's
boom, it
not-
goes right back to what it was.
And if it's not, they don't reply back, and you go, okay.
Yeah.
I've had a few,
And that was a lesson. That's what I'm saying is that was a lesson I took from you. Like you were like, well, dude, man, I mean, what are you going to do? And I was like, fuck you.
Yeah,
you're right.
you can't hinge your own emotions on somebody else's actions, because if you do, you're now you're living in the past. You
Coming
have
out
to,
soon, SCOA.
Dropping soon.
SCOA. That sounds like something you need antibiotics for.
724.
So
I got a bad case
We
of
did
SCOA,
actually.
bro.
We did.
you caught that SCOA? Your eyes look like
I can see it.
it's either that or that HIV. So I think that, you know, that's just a lesson for everything in life in that sense where it's like, hey, man, I'm doing my best. And if it's not good enough for you, well, then, dude, I'm so sorry. You know, but I'm going to continue this path with love and surround myself with good people. That's what I've always done is if it's not good people and it's not good energy, I immediately can feel that and I'm out. Like gracefully, I'm out. Sometimes Irish goodbye out. You know, you might not see me leave, but I think
Best way to go out.
Right. Well, I'm David Kelly McMahan, for fuck's sake. But I think that is part of, you know, I've seen the maniac side of you two. I've seen the Dr. Jekyll and the Mr. Hyde. And we had some amazing times. I'm pretty sure this is going to sound weird. I've seen you both naked, especially you
in public.
Yeah. Oh no,
Mostly him.
Yeah. I mean, and other members of the band.
Running
the
down
White
the street,
Rhino, for fuck's sake.
Streaking.
Fucking White Rhino, bro.
White Rhino, bro. Yeah. White Rhino.
White Rhino, bro.
And yeah, and you know, that's what creates that family. You know what I'm saying? That's what creates that, like, I love you no matter what, bro. You may have been an asshole last night, but I can genuinely tell that you feel like shit about it, you know?
Yeah.
And you are genuinely apologizing. Whatever it was, you know, it's like alcohol, cocaine's a hell of a drug. But the sense of family and camaraderie has never left the otherwise kind of ethos and realm. Even when I played that show with you guys at Vinyl, you know, it was your place that we rehearsed in. And I remember coming and being like, oh, you guys got a cool setup. Okay, cool. And it was like stepping right back into it. It was like not a big deal. It wasn't weird. You know how like, can you imagine other bands that have been together or whatever else and they split and then they come back together and it's like, oh, hey, Steve.
Yeah.
Do you remember what you said to me 35 years ago?
Right? It was like shit never even happened, right? Like, boom.
Yeah.
How's your wife?
Here we
That
are.
used to be my wife.
That kind of thing. Yeah.
Well, you can feel
How's
that.
your wife?
You can
My
feel that,
ex-wife.
You know? Right.
Well, we got them redone and, you know, so we like.
But standing from the outside and looking in at all of that stuff with you guys, you can see that. You can feel it. As soon as you walked in, it was like you guys were all the way back to 2007. Boom.
Yeah.
So you sat down at the drums like, and that wasn't even your drum kit.
No.
I think at the time that was
always
Madero's
weird.
drum kit,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
You sat down like it was your otherwise drum kit and just started playing.
Fake it till you make it, brother.
Right?
awesome.
And it was like, wow. Like, look at it. Like, look at how this happens.
And that's the energy that's kind of always surrounded these guys, right? Like even in that time and to this day. And it's really cool to see. It's really cool to see that you ain't done yet. That's kind of cool.
ADY, brother.
And-
ADY.
I'm out.
I'm OUT.
but and I'm sure you guys absolutely realize, and no sunshine, you know, but like this is my first time really, really kicking it with you, man. And you're a great dude.
Yeah.
And to know that they have the support of someone like you makes me feel good. You know, it makes me feel stoked to know that these guys are in good hands. Yeah. You've taken care of them. From what they've told me, the little bit about everything that you've done for them is a tremendous amount.
Well, I mean, and this is the thing. It's vice versa. And I tell these guys all the time. Every time they tell me this stuff, they've also taken care of me too.
You know,
He's
you
lying.
are.
I mean,
He's lying.
And you know what? Your
Stop lying.
humility is amazing.
Yeah.
However, you're a humble dude, and I'm grateful that they have your support, and that I don't think the otherwise thing would be as strong. And you know, selfishly, I can't imagine that some kind of alchemy would even be coming back out if they didn't have, you know, and being 100%. Able to be hopefully seen to the masses with, you know, a decent push and with the right backing. And a lot of that has to do with you, man. It has to do with your support of them, not you know, just even just the emotional support, because I can only imagine how many times he's cried on your shoulder, and probably vice versa.
Well, and vice versa. That's what I was going to say.
And
vice
I
versa.
guess, and that's the give and take, right? And so, man, I wanted to thank you for not only, you know, all having me here and this here and you guys, but like, dude, it's super cool that they have your support, and I can tell you what you already know, they will fucking die for you, you know. Because
Adrian and I were just talking about that last night. That's why I brought up pals earlier. You know, you don't understand the meaning of the word pals. You know, I went and saw the Bike Riders movie this weekend with my wife.
Yeah, you was telling
and
me
she's
about
like, you know, it's like a 6 or 7. And And I'm like, then you don't understand the meaning of the fucking word pals, you know? And there's you'll know when you watch that movie that there is an instance of that. And if you've ever seen Young Guns, you know, that's what Billy the Kid says. You don't understand the meaning of the word pals.
I'm in the spirit world, asshole.
You know, I'm in the spirit world, asshole. You can't see us.
She's my
size of that cock-a-doodle doo?
She's my flower. I'm her butterfly.
She's mine.
Oh god,
Love it. Right?
Fucking one of the greatest movies of all time.
Yeah.
Yeah, there is so much to that, and I think that is going to be the strength that continues on the otherwise reign of brotherhood and brotherhood, not just even on a blood level. You know, it's brotherhood amongst any of the, not just supporters too, but new fans, right? There's this connection that always gets made at a show. And I remember doing that ourselves when we were opening up for these huge bands, you know, Sammy Hagar, David Lee Roth, Alice Coopers, these people that are like, you know, they're older rock stars, but they have the most devoted fans.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, they're there, you know, with their walkers. You know, it takes a lot to go to a show with a walker.
Yeah.
But we had the chore of winning them over and being the opening band. Not just like, but like just us, and then they're on next. So the crowd is cold.
That's what I was saying. It's always better to be main support, right? Because main support, you don't have anything to lose. You only have everything to gain.
Truth. And
you know,
we-
and
and
going back
yeah.
to that Kid Rock was the main support, and he blew those guys out of the water. He blew Monster Magnet out of the water. We didn't even finish watching the set.
Yeah.
You know? And I mean, I've seen this oftentimes with
Dude,
these
it's the
guys.
coolest feeling, though, when you know you won a crowd of people that don't have a fucking clue who you are.
Yeah.
Yep.
And by the end of it, they're trying to meet you. And they're like, oh my God, you guys, I'd like to buy an album and all, you know, buy one of your CDs. And just next time you come through town, they're like, hey, stop by our house. We want to have dinner for you.
Yeah,
And like, or we're going to bring lasagna to your hotel because we know you're, and you're starving. Your per diem is crap. And back in the, you're starving.
Yeah.
And so people bringing you food turned into this like, oh my God, I love you.
Yeah.
And
Riders, water, and chips. Right?
dude, right?
And that's an unreal. What you just mentioned is it's an unreal feeling. It's this connection, this idea of connectivity, and being a part of something bigger than yourself, where it's like it's mind blowing. You know, like.
Well, I feel it on stage. When I get on stage and I'm taking pictures of you guys or whatever, I feel it on stage. I ain't even fucking part of the band, dude. Yeah. And if I can feel it, I can't even imagine what you guys feel like.
But you are part of the band.
But you are.
Yeah.
That's
You are.
Yeah, well,
But it's
Ghost Man on second right here, dude.
like, you know,
Or is it third? Is it Ghost Man?
You know,
on
was
third?
it House of Blues for a while in Las Vegas had that the sign in the back, and I'm sure it's everywhere else too. It was like, hey man, nobody cares. Don't care if you're the biggest band in the world. Treat
Right.
the crew good.
It is House of Blues.
It's House of Blues,
Yep.
and it's this whole mantra of like, hey, don't be an asshole. And like everybody right now, from stage manager to lighting guy, that's all. We're all working here, man. So I don't care what kind of ego you think you have or how big you think your band is. I've been here since 6 a.m. You showed up at 3 for a sound check.
Yeah.
Right.
And when you leave to go party, I'm going to be breaking everything down. So don't be a jerk, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I remember seeing that one of the first times playing House of Blues, and you're just like, yep.
That's
it. And
That's the epitome of it right there.
totally. And I would always do my best to not just shake everybody's hand, but say thank you and like go to the monitor guy that gets no love and be like, bro, sounded great tonight, man. Thank you.
Appreciate you.
Go to even the security guard that was watching the door. Man, that guy's making minimum wage and he's dealing with drunk assholes all night.
All night.
Thanks, dude.
Yeah, he's got the worst job.
I
he has
know,
to
right?
deal
But
with all these people.
thank you means everything to someone.
And
like that.
you know
100%.
I'm so glad to have you here and talking about this with this perspective, because we have done that innumerable times, and security guards have literally said, dude, you're like,
They remember that.
remember it. They
you're
remember
the first band who ever thanked us. Like,
Yeah.
thank you for doing that. I'm
I think
like,
we
what do you
went
mean?
Whiskey
What do you
a
mean?
Go-Go.
Like,
I think this was
we're
like
the first band ever to do that.
2015.
Like,
Whiskey a Go-Go. And those guys remembered you
Yeah.
from the last time.
Guys,
You know?
No whiskey.
At
And
the
it had
Rainbow
been
for sure.
years.
Good old
It had been
whiskey.
years since you guys had been there, and those dudes remembered you.
Yeah.
Well, impressions, man, and you know, what's weird too is it like being nice sticks out.
Yeah, it does.
It shouldn't be that way. It really should not. You know,
right, because they're expecting you to be a fucking dickhead.
or
Yeah,
just
basically.
a nothing. You know, just a like, you may not be a dick, but you may just ignore them, which is almost like being a dick, right?
I'm gonna go put my mascara on real quick.
You're right, your
I wanna
mascara.
talk to you.
But like, it's weird what gratitude can do, and it's weird what not weird. It's what it should be, and it should be more prevalent, not just throughout our industry, but the world, right, in general.
You like humanity? Is what you're talking about?
Yeah, but that's being scraped away, right? Daily. Like there's this like instant gratification world. Give me only 3 seconds of a song. Like you could make, you only need barely a chorus now.
Yeah.
And kids are like, oh my God, I love
You
that
mean
song.
you mean this right here? You know,
Dude,
it's
dude.
like 3 second song, 3 second song, 3 second song, 3 second song.
And
I
then-
wish we could just take these things and just
And then
destroy
have you ever
them.
listened to some of the rest of those songs? Sometimes you understand why it's just that part got made it, right? But,
Exactly.
However,
Yeah.
that is the mentality of the person writing that song.
That's
It's like
bull-
they didn't put it
because
all
that-
into like making it one great piece.
Right.
They know right now the mentality is if I can just get one little blip of good.
Going back to Tool,
Yeah.
it's like you listen to Tool's
Bro.
album from the beginning to the end.
I remember,
you know,
yes.
and nothing in between, and you don't change it.
People
and you
being like, what do you mean a 9-minute song?
exactly? Are you crazy?
And I'm like, well, I mean, but it's awesome.
yeah,
You know, and,
Exactly.
And you're going to go on a journey. If you actually close your eyes and go on the journey with them, you might come out a different person.
Yeah.
One of my favorite songs by these guys is on Peace at All Costs, and you guys co-wrote that, and I think Nick put together a lot of the lyrics. Nick Giorgiano.
Man on Fire?
Man on Fire. But it's a very, very long song, but you can
like 6
feel
minutes.
that song all the way through it. Like
Yeah.
you just feel the power
Yeah.
of that song, and especially when you go into the guitar parts at the end, dude, it's just like you can feel the emotion just flowing through it, and I'm just like, yep, I just want to keep listening to it. Oh yeah, re-rack that.
Yeah,
Play it again.
Yeah.
Right?
Some, when it's called for, it's called for.
Yeah.
The style of Tool though is like that's just. I can't imagine there's going to be another one in a weird way. Like there are Pink Floyd,
Yeah,
like they are
yeah.
not just because of their live show and their amazing production that they put on, but like
It goes back to the work ethic that you were talking about too, the amount of work that's put into it.
yeah, that's why it takes 15 years per album.
Exactly.
Dave, you think you'll
100%.
ever...
We're all pissed off like 10 years, 11 years, 12 years.
Yeah.
What the fuck is going on?
You think
Right?
you'll ever get
But
behind
you know
the drum
why?
kit again?
Only for fun, man.
For fun,
yeah,
yeah.
for fun.
Write a song?
I'll no, I don't know. Right, that's a muscle that I haven't even used in a while, man. I mean, I could probably sit there and tinker, but
Yeah.
It wouldn't be fun to write a song. You don't think?
I just wouldn't want to waste anybody's time. Like that's a muscle, man, and I haven't used it for a long time. I've been in a totally different world for so long.
This is also one of the greatest
Yeah, you know what?
Las
Muscle
Vegas
has
drummers
muscles.
ever. So.
Muscle's got memory, bro.
yeah. There's
There's
also a
start-
thing called
as soon
muscle
as you start
memory.
using it, man. It
there's
comes
also
back
cage
real
rough.
fucking
There
quick.
is cage rough.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and I'll never not be a drummer, and I jam around every now and then, and I worked in production a little bit myself too. I find a lot of joy in that, man. Like, I hate celebrating myself, but I love embellishing someone else's celebration. Yeah. That's like something I really, really enjoy. Is like I don't ever like parties for myself. I don't celebrate my birthday. I don't do any of that shit. But if it's your birthday, I'm gonna make it so fun. Yeah. And I'm
we
a lighting
celebrated
guy,
your
so-
30th birthday when I beat up your homie. You remember that? Outside the freaking frog.
My homie?
Yeah. You remember that?
I do.
Yeah.
And
you
I
had
remember
the limo?
Yeah. Yeah, it was my 29th. It was my 29th because I remember being like, I ain't celebrating any birthdays after this.
Oh, okay. I
and
thought
yeah,
that was your
no,
cousin.
he was, there was a thing. Yeah, there was a fuck you that went down and then getting out. And yeah, the frog place, you got out and laid him out. And he
wanted to beat up Fred.
Well-
he wanted to beat up Fred.
He
it was
wanted to beat up Freddie Bear.
He wanted to beat
dude.
up
He
Fred,
wanted to
and I was
fight
like,
Freddie
don't
Bear,
touch.
bro.
I thought it was
Fred.
Fred that you
No.
remind me.
The-
I only had
the
I only
photographer.
had like 12 drinks that night.
It was your birthday.
It wasn't birthday.
But I remember a scuffle going down outside, and I was like, "What the fuck are you guys doing? Who was it?"
I can't remember which either buddies.
I remember you guys laid somebody out, and it was just like, "I guess party's over for you, motherfucker."
We're going to the next spot.
Your game is over.
Yeah, no, I was like, "We gotta go, dude."
But again,
cherries and berries.
That's part of one of those stories that we're keeping off. We've had so many.
Oh,
we've had so much to
her-
talk about tonight, but there's so much we also didn't talk about, and that's okay. 'cause
And that's
we get to
good.
Well,
share
you gotta
stuff.
end. You gotta end with your question.
No,
though,
100%.
right? We need
No,
that.
I mean, we're so lucky to have Dave here. He was like the first big brother that we had in the band. Right?
Absolutely.
Teddy stood side by with us, and we came up. But then when Dave came, there was like a new killer in the band.
He was the
Teddy
dude-
Was out, Dave was in.
Yeah, he was on it for me. I mean, and maybe I don't know if I'm speaking out of turn, but for me, he was the first dude who joined our ranks that I was looking up to.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
So weird to me, bro.
So
Oh, it was awesome, man.
It's so weird because also in Phatter, I was always the youngest. And then all of a sudden I was with you guys and it was just like, how'd that shit get reversed?
yeah.
How am I the old guy?
Why am I Benjamin Button?
Yeah. I'm totally reversing this.
Nah, it was so cool. And those days of those wise years will be deeply cherished.
Forever, man.
Yeah,
Forever.
yeah.
The music that we wrote, it was still means so much to me.
Yeah, and we're gonna get that out here soon again.
and it's coming.
which
Yeah,
is so
the thing
exciting.
it's coming. It's resurgence.
It was so cool to have to reach out because then we did all the professional stuff after. It was so cool to call Dave and be like, "Dude, we need you to sign some paperwork." We never signed any paperwork.
Oh, did you
together,
get your IRSCR code?
except for
done?
like a
Yeah,
get
yeah.
out of jail free card? Like get him out, sign him out, kind of thing.
Yeah,
We
I'll
never
sign
did
for these guys.
right? We never did.
That's why you
anything
guys
like
sent
that.
me when we'd go through TSA. You were like, dude, you have to go first.
You gotta go first, bro.
tell them we're with you.
Yeah, but it's exciting that it's come full circle, and we do. I'd be lying if I said we didn't all have beautiful women waiting for us. We could probably sit here for another 2 hours.
I got 2 beautiful kids.
And
He's
two
got a
beautiful
daughter
kiddos.
waiting.
And so we asked this question to our guests of, if there was something that you could tell your younger
One
self,
thing
that you
could say to
tell
your younger,
if you saw a young
aspiring
D Mac,
musician.
and what would you tell him? What would you share with him?
Slow is smooth and smooth is fast. That calm down. Don't try to rush stuff. Slow is smooth, smooth is fast. That it's going to work out. And if it doesn't, it's okay.
it's okay.
Slow is smooth and smooth is fast, which has saved my life a few times in skydiving and a couple other situations. But that would be the thing is like, hey, slow down. It's going to happen, but just not in what you think in the timeline it should.
I think that's the
that,
name
man.
of
That's
this
a great-
podcast right there.
Yeah,
dude.
that's
That
a
was
great-
good.
yeah.
Of course he comes in and he's done writing songs. We're calling you
down
next
knowledge.
week.
Yeah,
We're gonna jam tomorrow, bro. I don't know if you already have signed your calendar.
We got
but-
band practice tomorrow.
Yeah.
dude.
As long as the song is an acronym, I'm good.
Nice. Well, dude, thank you so much.
Thank you.
D-Rum, you're the man, dude. We love
Thanks,
you
Dave.
so
Dave
much.
McMahan in the
Appreciate you.
house.
Yeah.
I can't thank you guys
House.
enough, man. I love you, and I always will.
Thank you, brother.
Awesome.
Ditto, dog.
Another one done, and I think we're out.
Let's do it.
Thank you, Alex. We'll see you on the next episode.